And you are live, it says, for the very first live Cardboard Hands, lucky number 13. None other than welcome, folks. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Cardboard Hands, our first ever inaugural live episode. See, we're feeling cool right now, so we have to wear the sunglasses, but we're back again with our hosts, our co-hosts, Retrospecs and Flex Gods. How you guys doing today? Nick, how you guys doing?
Yo, what's up? How are you?
Good. I'm just making sure we're on YouTube really quick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm doing well. Thanks for asking, man. I'm going to take a quick little victory lap because if you remember last episode of Cardboard Hands, there were a few predictions that were thrown out there, and there are a few people who are called just quote unquote dusted for some of their beliefs. And so anyway, thank you everyone who replied in the comments over what we should talk about. And we are going to talk about the holiday dumping season this year because it does go hand in hand with the whole Pokemon is dead theme that we have going here. Pokemon may be dead, but we are live. But here's the thing, y'all. Who predicted Charizard UPCs? Who predicted Charizard UPCs? Who? Would be literally 150 on the day of release. You can go clip it. Please, someone go back and clip the last Cardboard Hands at the end, and then clip Nick down below telling me I was quote unquote dusted for that. Because straight up, I said, you know what, guys? I feel like the Charizard UPC is going to be 150 to 175, and I feel like the 175 is way too high, and 150 might even be too high. And I said they would go below MSRP likely, but on opening day, that's what we said. And so there we go. There we go. You guys can pay me now in the Patreon, $69.99 a month. We'll start taking it for retroactively for the last few months. And so we'll be taking our payments in PayPal, Cash App, Zelle. We take crypto as long as it's not one of the ones that's dying. So not very much.
They're all dying,
right bro. If you have fine art, we'll take fine art.
Yo, paintings, yeah.
But yes, okay. So anyway, that was spot on. So I appreciate everyone who listens to the podcast. You've already been rewarded. If you listen to the podcast, we helped you guys out with the Charizard UPCs. By the way, did you guys make any plays with Charizard UPCs? Nick?
No. I bought one for $100 and I opened it, and that's it.
Damn, $100 is a good deal, actually.
Dude, homie hooked it up. I got 2 alternate arts from the box too, so that's all I did.
Also, anyway, just because this is our first live, I wanted to kind of interact a little bit with the live chat, but I also don't want to too much derail what our usual podcast is. And so the way I was sort of thinking we would do this is we would mostly run the podcast just kind of like we typically do and do our chat. But just once in a while, maybe we can interact with the chat a little bit. But I don't want to get too derailed until the very end. So once you might have to jump off, I think you said eventually.
Yeah, I got like an hour.
Yeah, once he leaves the stream, then we'll just open up the floodgates to like all hell with the chat and everything. But for now, we'll kind of keep taking our time and doing the podcast. But okay, so you got one, right? So you got one. How did your promos look? Did you say
they were bad? Promos were bad. Honestly, the meta with the promos is finding the super OC ones. I think.
I mean, if you can get PSA to actually give it an OC, like. Okay, what about you, Nick? Did you buy any and do any play? You were talking big about it, so I want to hear what you're tell everyone.
I think I ended up getting 5. I tried to get 7, but like UPS, dude, UPS is horrible. They fulfilled the 2 that I got my girlfriend to buy for me. And dude, they like sent it to the wrong address and then it got returned to sender. It was just this whole thing. She ended up getting refunded, but I only got 5. Pretty much like all the promos were like not worth grading. So I just sold those out the gate. And then, dude, like, I mean, it's crazy. It's not the best place to stick your money right now, but the boxes are still plus EV, right? Because if you sell the promos each for like $20, that's $60 right there. People buy the dice. People are buying the sleeves. People are buying the play mats, and you still get the 16 packs. Like, it's crazy, man, you know? Again, not like the best place to stick your money, but it is still plus EV. It's kind of like the special delivery Charizard. It's like, is it the best play? Like, no, maybe not, but it's still free. Like there's literally zero downside risk, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. Like you buy it, and even if the Charizard is like dinged or OC or whatever, you can still sell it on eBay and like make all your money back, right? And then you get the packs to open for free, or you can sell the packs that you needed to buy.
Zero so again, downside risk.
Yeah, like I mean, I don't want to sound like, oh, like invest now or whatever, but it's
guaranteed.
But it's just a numbers thing. It's like, okay, you buy the code for 10, you spend 25 on Pokemon, you're in for 35, let's say 40 after tax, you get the card, it's not gradable, you sell that for 50, you make your money back, and then you have the product that you got. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not zero down, but it's like, what are you going to lose? Like $5, but like no one's.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. It's an amazing product. I absolutely love the Charizard UPC, and the fact that it's almost $100, or it is $100 kind of right now, is really, to me, that's crazy. Not crazy in a sense, like in a bad sense, but it's crazy that like a product with that much demand and hype, like it's just crazy that they printed that much of it. They really did overprint it, not overprint it, but they print it to oblivion, because guess what? There's another wave coming out next week. And if they're already $100 now, what do you think is going to happen right before Christmas? Because I'll say something, Christmas time does spur on some sales for like gifting, but for the most part, I've said this many times around the holidays, Pokemon is something you enjoy the Pokemon hobby with yourself. Like you enjoy it with other people, but you don't buy gifts for other people in the Pokemon hobby, or you're not giving your family Pokemon cards for sure. Maybe if you have kids, you're sharing the hobby with them that way. But for the most part, you're not gifting Pokemon cards. If you are, then I mean, I'm just straight up wrong. But for the most part, you enjoy buying stuff for yourself. And most people are spending their money on other people around the holidays. So traditionally, sales tend to dip a little bit around the holidays, because there's also a lot of people trying to raise funds for holiday shopping, for non-Pokemon spending, so that they can then, after the holidays, then maybe channel some of that back into what they would usually spend on Pokemon. So like to say that like right now it's right before the holidays and it's still like $100 is another wave yet to come. People are going to want to dump that wave to sell to make the money back, and then put it into other things all around the holidays at the end of the year, make their end of the year profits and all that. I think that it can go lower, boys. I think it can go much, much lower.
I think they can go lower, but the only reason I think that they're low right now is because the promos, like everybody knows that the promos are cooked. I still think that, like, again, like the product is still like plus EV. It's just the fact that like everybody knows that the cards are in crap condition. I actually wouldn't be surprised, dude, if the second, or if there's even a third wave came out and then the cards bottomed, like the slabs bottomed, and then pulled a Moonbreon and started ticking back up. I would not be surprised, because if Scarlet base set or Scarlet Violet base set like isn't great and the cards in it are just like whatever, right? Or it's like reprints from V-Star Universe or whatever, like, dude, it's Charizard alt arts. I wouldn't be surprised, dude. Like, I don't want to sound too. Yeah, I would not be surprised if they hit a bottom and then started bouncing back up and people felt FOMO. Because if the second wave, if those are all OC, I don't think that there's enough 10s out there for people, for everybody.
I'm tired of this conversation. No offense. Silver Tempest packs can be weighed. Deal with that, YouTube. Silver Tempest packs can be freaking weighed. Deal with that. Charizard UPCs are so last 5 minutes
ago. Can they, though?
Yes, absolutely. Silver Tempest booster packs can be weighed. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. You can hate me now, but it is unfortunately true. If you're getting booster packs out of booster boxes, the heaviest packs have the V and the hits in them. And so that's not a good look, boys. That's not a good look. What the hell, Pokemon, is the point of putting stupid colored code cards in the different packs and pretending like it helps not weigh the packs out when it literally doesn't do anything except spoil the fun for pack breakers like me when someone sees it's a white code card and their hopes are literally smashed the first second of the opening. You couldn't even give them 3 seconds of an opening of joy, of hope to potentially get something before you had to show them that white code that just destroys your soul. No. Pokemon, I am done with your crap, and we need a petition that they stop doing these stupid code cards, because they absolutely can be weighed. So I was waiting a few minutes to drop this shit in the stream because I just thought it would be too much of a bomb, just make people you know, whatever. It already broke Flex Gods over here, you know. But
he's frozen in like the perfect face too. It's so good.
It's so good. That's so good.
Wait,
So what do you think
can
about that?
you? So
He
can
just
you?
had his internet cut out, so he'll be back.
Okay, you're saying you can pull hits out of either pack, or you can only, or out of either color code, or like how?
So the way that the new sets have been working with the trainer galleries, and the same thing with like Radiance and Amazing Rares, whenever they have an additional hit that happens in the reverse hollow slot, you can always get a crap or a bad colored code card. It used to be green code cards, now it's white code cards. They changed the color of the code cards because they're allegedly making it so they can't. Who knows what they're doing? I certainly don't know what they're doing, but they basically do that so that you can not weigh the packs. That was what they were always telling us. And so when they started adding the extra hits in the pack in the reverse slot, it started making it even more wonky, because then like they also add different weights to the packs, and it makes it even more weird. Okay, cool. Sounds good. I'm on board. That means you have like 2 or 3 layers, Pokemon, where you can really make it so pack weighing should really be a thing of the past, and it's not possible. It just makes no sense. But here's what the reality is. All you have to do is get yourself one of these crappy little head shop scales for $10 at your local head shop, and you can go ahead and weigh out the heaviest Silver Tempest pack out of booster boxes at least, and you can get just the hits and scam all day long. So it's a terrible look. We just learned this yesterday, and it literally was like a this is great. This is no wonder nobody wants Silver Tempest right now. The packs can be weighed. It's just garbage. It's literally garbage. So, yeah, what do you guys think about that? I'm curious. Or I guess Weed's going to be coming back, by the way. He said his Wi-Fi went out. So once he comes back, I'll have to answer him. But chat, I want to know what you guys think about that. It looks like a couple of you guys. Hold on. A few of you guys have said some interesting things, though, because I definitely don't know about that one right there. But that's debatable for sure. But it seems like some of you have also noticed that it can be weighed. But I definitely think that it's interesting, that sort of look. Okay, so in other news, other than Silver Tempest being weighable and being somewhat mids of a set, what we saw the Lugia drop to like from 300 to 200 in a matter of lickety splits. And so that one's to be expected.
I think it's still expensive in Japanese, though. I think it's like double the price in Japanese. I haven't looked, but out the gate, I want to say it was like 400 to 500, and then I want to say within a week it shot up to like 600 to 800. Like it kind of sucks. I really like Lugia personally. Not a big fan of.
Oh, hold on. We're getting our first trolls. We're banning that. Yeah. Sorry about that, chat.
Sweet. Yeah, that kind of threw me off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But the art on the Lugia, like, is just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of mids to me, I guess. Like, it's just kind of his butt as he's flying away. And I feel like Lugia is a really cool Pokemon. There's a lot of cool stuff they could have done with that. Yeah, so that's my take.
Yes, it's definitely one of the things that if you're going to be looking to buy from like an online streaming or like so just loose packs from like TCG Player or anywhere, even if it's not like a scammer like me, a whatnot scammer, you definitely have to be worried about where they come from now. It used to be, oh yeah, modern can't be weighed. Like Sword and Shield era, up until this recent, like this set, basically, you really couldn't weigh it. So it's really unfortunate that now it's like, oh, that's a worry. But you absolutely should be worried about where your loose packs are coming from. But yeah, I feel like, yeah, I need to mod. How do you mod people? Because I think Professor Oak would be a good mod there. Ah, shit, we live. Yes, Pokemon's dead, but we're live, Dan. Except all right, we're back. Our co-host, he's back from the dead. We broke him. So the fact that Silver Tempest could be weighed, it broke Wii. So what do you think about that? Have you even heard anything about that? I know your internet just died. You're probably like, what did I miss?
Yeah, where are we at? Are we talking about Silver Tempest being weighed?
Yeah. I just dropped a bomb on chat, and apparently it's not the first time people have heard it. So I'm not really dropping any uncomfortable news yet, but
yeah. Wasn't Fusion Strike weighable too, or is that a different set?
Fusion Strike, I don't remember being weighable. It might have been. I know that there's some sets that have been and some haven't, but I know this one's like a definite yes. Like as far as I know, I tried it with a booster box just last night, and then I could do some right now probably. And I've seen people on YouTube do it, and I've seen other people, like I've heard about them talking. It's definitely a thing. It's like not even a question. So like super just but anyway, yeah, we're on to Lugia, basically alternate art. Japanese being more expensive because apparently the Japanese market makes no sense, like it never does to me. I don't know. The retro, that's much more your sort of thing, the Japanese market. Like I'm much more admittedly an English market kind of guy. So I definitely I would like to hear what you think about why that is, because I personally don't know why. I think it's irrational.
Why the Japanese is more expensive?
Yeah, the alternate arts when they grade so easier, like
Because
especially
it's better, dude. They have better texture. They have better color on them. Like they're just like if you put, I think it was Mason actually one time who put like both of the Rayquaza VMAX alternate arts next to each other, and it was just so obvious how much better the Japanese. I mean, better, I guess. You know, it's your opinion, but yeah, they're a lot nicer. The products, like, I don't know, like I wouldn't say it's harder to get, but you can't just like go to your LGS usually, at least most LGSs, and pick up Japanese booster boxes. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. Like Japanese has been winning lately on modern. You know, it's in good condition. Like I've been getting English like out of the UPCs, and then the stuff that I get for that I had to buy for the special delivery Charizard. And the quality out of pack is just like ass. It's just like pack fresh English is still not great, So I don't know, man. Like I think Japanese just kind of has like that special sauce or whatever, and it's cool to see that people now are starting to appreciate it more because, from what I understand, the narrative, I guess, going into the boom, or like most of the people that were like big pre-boom, like we're just all full on English or whatever, and I'll grade whatever. Like if it's minty, I don't care. But I don't know. Like it kind of has like a little bit of like a mysticism too, because it's just harder to find information on too. Like not like knowing where every card came from as far as a release, and like if it's a hollow or it's a non-hollow in English, but it's a hollow in Japanese, and yeah, I don't know. It's fun for me at least. For some people, it's like too big of a barrier to entry, but.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree with you on a few of your points. I'll agree with you on one of them, being that the superior texturing of the cards and the card quality is definitely there in Japan, 1,000%. But I'm going to think that the reason it's overpriced right now is not because of the fact that it's superior. It's because it's being bought out by the West and pumped to the point where they don't have enough of it in Japan. And so the Japanese market wants it as well. So it has two different markets competing for the same thing. And it's a cheaper product that they'll print to oblivion given the opportunity to do so. They've shown that. And this whole market, this like they don't overprint Japanese stuff, that they don't overprint. It's just like that's BS. Like that's some like BS that I've heard. It's kind of scattered around like Japanese lovers and simps of Japanese product of the past. You don't hear it as much anymore because they sort of shattered that whole thing with like the reprint of V-Star, the shiny V-Star, and then VMAX Climax, where they literally like, oh, you guys think we don't like to reprint Japanese specialty sets? Oh no, we'll reprint it.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Japanese can get down to like $40-$45 a box. English never gets there. Like you can open two of basically the same set in Japanese for the same price as one booster box in English. And so when it does
that makes complete sense. That's the MSRP.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean in Japan it's the MSRP.
Where it's like they get them for like $35-$40 a box when they buy like cases, right? And then whereas we're getting our booster boxes for like $80-$90 a box, which is our. But
I'm just saying for like the average consumer, maybe it feels better to be able to open a Japanese box for like $45 all said and done than to pay like $90 for an English box and get like absolutely wrecked. You know, so then it gets eaten up quicker too, right? Because they printed the absolute out of VMAX Climax, and dude, those boxes are screaming right now. Like they're climbing, you know, and they did like so many waves of that set. So even when they do print a lot of something, I really think part of the reason that it gets eaten up so quickly is because it's so cheap and accessible to so many people. So I don't know. Whereas English, yeah, it's just expensive, man. Like 150 bucks, 125 bucks to open fusion strikes so you can brick. Like, no thanks.
Who the hell is paying 125 bucks for fusion strike? You can get that shit for $88, bro. $85 on Facebook shipped if you buy like more than one. Same thing with like Japanese boxes. I mean, who's going to be paying full price when the market's on fire right now? Literally nothing is full price right now. Even Charizard UPCs are on freaking fire, which everyone apparently that couldn't have happened a month ago. Now it's like everyone's like, oh yeah, we all saw this coming. This is no problem. Yeah. We're not surprised. I only sent 12 of them off at $100, so we're good.
That was so dumb. I don't understand why people. Okay, I think people were chasing this like $800 first sale type thing. They're like, yeah, if you just send it 100, like you'll get $800. And it's like, dude, you bought the box for 125. Let's say you're in for like 130 or something after tax or whatever. So you're in each promo card for $43. If you grade it for 15 a piece, let's say now you're in it at $60. With how quick 18s have been coming back, and a lot of people are already getting 15s back, or they're in like assembly or grading or whatever, like why would you send it $100 and have so much value of that card tied up in grading? Send it at 15, you're in at $60. Dude, even if that card tanks all the way down to $150 in a 10, you're still doubling your money. But if you send it $100, like I don't know, man. Like that just, yeah, I don't know. That was just a dumb move. I don't know why
and their
people
mother
did that.
was sending it at $100. Whoever didn't send it at $100,
but why? I mean, like it's like
why? Everyone was telling them to. Every person on this damn YouTube was saying, you know, I don't know. Some things are so irrational. You know, the market's irrational, but it's an easy play, super easy play. And it's like, no, it's not. Everyone's going to be doing it. Literally, there's like, there's everyone and their mother is making the same play. So how is it even obvious, or how is it not obvious this was going to happen? But in any case, I still disagree with you about Japanese being inaccessible to the public. It is not inaccessible to the public. It is only inaccessible to the public in so much is that there's not like an American retail market that regularly sells it. I mean, you can buy it on eBay. You can buy it on, and we're going to say it for the first time this stream, buy.
Bro, don't, no.
You
didn't say anything.
And buy it. I know that's something that's like a controversial thing in this, but not everyone does buy. Like you already know. I don't buy
triple down. You said it 3 times.
I know, right? And we're gonna lose everything. We're gonna be demonetized now, but no. But anyway, there aren't American markets that sell it. It's not that it's inaccessible. They would literally buy the hell out of it given the markets to it, and they are buying the hell out of it. But the minute that it gets on the market and it sits there and it becomes accessible and it's seen to be trash, because it is, unfortunately, once you buy the booster box, you open that first booster pack of the booster box and you open the secret rare, the rest of the box is trash. You're telling me I have to go grade those booster packs and sell them as light graded packs in order to be like stonking out and plus EVing? Or, okay, I'm sorry, if I don't want to be stonking out and plus EVing, I have to actually have fun. And how can I have fun when I know there's 29 packs that have no hits in them, basically? How is that fun? You're like, no, you have to do it for the love of the hobby. You open the packs. No, that's not fun. Japanese product is not fun. English product, what happens when you hit the first secret rare, the first time in the first pack of the box? Wow, it might be a double secret rare box. That's not unheard of. You can literally get other things in English boxes. So there's a reason why they're a little bit more. They're better. That's why. The quality is not better. I'll say that. quality is not, for some reason, the English quality of the print quality is just garbage. So I
For
will 100%.
some reason, it's our culture, bro. We have no honor. We have no honor.
No
Japanese people take pride in their work. That's why. That's exactly why,
true.
dude.
That's true.
We're
And that's what I love
lazy.
about the Japanese culture is I respect that level of honor that we as Americans just don't have. And I agree with that. And it probably has something to do with why their quality is a lot better over there. But I still don't think it means it's better. I think that there's more of a market for English. There always has been. Like this whole like Japanese being more expensive thing is a very recent thing. It has not been in the past. In certain things, yes, but
here's what's funny too is like the alt arts will be like twice the price of the English, but then all the other chase cards in the set are like dirt cheap. Like the Dragonite, the hyper rare, like the rainbow one from Pokemon Go, that was like $7 or $8 on Buyee. Ooh, I just said it. But it was like $45 to $50 on TCG Player at the same time.
It doesn't make sense.
You know what I mean?
That's
like,
because people don't know how to optimize and they don't know how to actually search in like different languages and then look around and source things out. It's the same reason why you can like find people paying for things on Troll and Toad, like paying overpriced prices for singles on Troll and Toad when you get the same thing on TCG Player for like much cheaper typically. Just depending on obviously sellers and your preferences and that kind of thing. It's just different optimization levels for different websites. It's just people have comfort levels, and they will shop where they're comfortable most of the time.
Yeah, but I think too maybe it's like maybe culturally the Japanese people are more interested in like the art and care less about like the CGI shit. Maybe I don't know, man. Like, but it, yeah, like
they care about waifus, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
They do. Those go dummy in Japanese.
Like that is for sure a thing. I can't say anything about like that is literally a cultural thing. The same waifus here in English are not going for the same prices as the Japanese ones at all. And it's just like I don't know if there's the same level of collectors. I don't know what's going on with that. I can presume there's a few things going on with that, but you know what I mean? Okay, on to the next topic, though, in the hobby.
I have nothing to say on the topic of waifus.
I mean, it's just one of those things. Weiss Schwartz is popping off too with the waifus and it has been for a while, and I feel like that's also a thing that's going to be moving into the future. If you look at any of the game, like first edition Last from base set is the best I think it's the best selling non-holo in the set. Like, that is saying something about waifu collectors, I guess. It's pervaded its way into the vintage as well. So it's definitely a thing. So I mean, it's one of those things that I thought would have cooled off when the hobby cooled off.
Bro,
but we're still seeing it grow.
PSA 10 first edition Last does like 1.5K.
I told you, it's the most, the most expensive non-holo rare. It's the Last trainer card. I've always said the Last is the best the card. If you're not going to get a holo, you want to get the Last. I've said it ironically in the past, and now I literally am saying it, and I mean that. But
that's crazy. Also, did you know Doug Trio does like 800?
No, that makes no sense to me. It's insane.
Super low pop. I had one a while ago, and I was like researching it, and it does like 600 to 800 for no reason. But that's besides the point.
That's like so random, like so biased.
I think it's like top 40 or something. It's like something. No, it's not. Never mind. Ignore that. But it's really low pop.
I mean, who doesn't need a glizzy? Triple glizzy. It's not just one. It's trips.
I'm all set on the triple glizz. All set.
It's such nostalgic art, guys. It's nostalgic. Dude. It hit in the childhoods.
Dude, I grew up with all that stuff. It's like base set. WotC gives me the ick. I just can't.
I'm bored of base set.
It's so boring, dude. And like people are like 6 years in, they're just like, I love base set. I love it so much. It's just like,
top spec for you guys. Moonbryon or Last first edition base set? PSA 10 Moonbryon or PSA 10 first edition base set? Last. Which one you want? Which one you hold?
Moonbryon.
Yeah.
Last doesn't look cool. Last looks bruh. Last
The
looks so
fundamentals,
boring.
the fundamentals, bro, but modern. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
How many moon
fundamentals
you
for
guys
like
got?
5,
The
10,
chat wants us to talk
25
about
years
it.
from now, like I'm all set.
Also, really quick, Doug Trio first edition base set is pop 157 in a 10. Isn't that weird? I don't know. I don't get it. But
I mean, probably.
I mean, it's a weird thing. Population. It's just however many people have graded it. Sometimes it's directly correlated to the popularity of the Pokemon. Sometimes, in the case of like low pop Pokemon, it's like not related to their popularity. It's actually the opposite, and that will drive that price up. The reason that I was able to sell a Soul Rock for over $1,000 is not because there's Soul Rock lovers out there. It's because it was low population. And that's not because everyone sent their Soul Rocks right when they opened them out of the pack. And like they sent their Soul Rock and they saved them in a card saver and sent them immediately because it's the best card. It's because nobody gave a crap about Soul Rock forever. You opened the Soul Rock and you threw it away afterwards. You're like, ah, crap, a Soul Rock. Ah, crap, another Soul Rock. Until years later, someone opens one and you're like, wait a second, this thing is actually really low population because no one cared about it now. Now I care about it. So it's a correlation based on a few different things. It's not just the Pokemon. It's also like if it's a crappy Pokemon, it could still have some legs. It just has to. It depends on the in particular thing. But sorry about dissing Soul Rock. By the way, I know you like Soul Rock, so I'm my bad about that.
There are Soul Rock fans out there for sure.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew that was the next thing you said. My bad.
Dude, my recent PSA sub was like all third generation Pokemon, so like Cacturne, Viper, like all sorts of stuff. Dude, so many people on Instagram like, yo, bro, like snapping these cards of like unpopular Pokemon. People like them, dude. They do. Man. I like them. Like I don't know, man. Like
I can't even front.
I played a lot of Ruby.
I mean, people collect weird Pokemon. I just sold this Latias, like a 5.5 Latias randomly to a specific Latias collector. So it is a thing. People really do like specific Pokemon. So, and some of them they'll surprise you, like Soul Rock or,
I just think it's like an art thing. Like if it's like a fire art, people like it's. I don't know, man. Like it can't just be Charizard and Pikachu forever. Like I guess it can, but like. I feel like most people like too many Pokemon to ever stick to just like one or two. So yeah, I don't know. I'm putting all sorts of unpopular, D tier Pokemon in slabs. Like I'll be the only one to do it if no one else is, man. But I think they're cool, dude. Like I'm gonna slab a Ludicolo all day long.
You're not wrong for it. Ludicolo is cool, and I mean, like we were discussing, if it got a high grade, someone will want it. But do you think someone would want like a PSA 7 Ludicolo, or PSA 6?
No. It's got to be, it's got to be mint for sure. And then like
there are people who want PSA 6 and 7 Pikachu's, and freaking. Popular Gyarados maybe, or even B tier Pokemon, like I would say Lucario would be like one of those. There's probably a lot of collectors. He's not people would probably label him as like an A tier Pokemon, but I would probably put Lucario as like that B tier probably, man. One of these days we're gonna have to do like a tier list of like Pokemon on this podcast, see where things stand or whatever. But yeah, for now, I definitely think that if it's a high grade and it's like a weird Pokemon, there's probably someone who will want it. People chase the grade right now. It's still a thing where I think that people are still chasing those high grades and chasing the slab like irrationality. Like in sports, there are dollar sports slabs. There are no dollar Pokemon slabs yet, and that still scares me.
I think there are, honestly. Well, I don't know. I take that back. But I feel like CGC
Pokemon
like
slabs?
CGC 7.5s of weird cards are like just random stuff. My LCS has been talking about people bringing in just like the worst cards. Like I'm talking like modern CGC 9 like 7.5s and like what else?
Like we're talking like common like energy 7s or something, like darkness energy 7s. Like sure, that's
not
$1
that
slab,
bad, but
that's not even that's not even $1 slab.
I think I don't know, man. Like with PSA getting cheaper, people might try to send junk, but I think a lot of people got burned sending junk the first time, and I don't know if you're gonna see a bunch of like Zarude V, PSA 8s going forward. I think people are done grading. I mean, there's always gonna be somebody who's gonna grade garbage, but I think a lot less of it going forward, probably, or hopefully. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. I've seen a lot of junk slabs, is what I'm saying.
I have seen a lot of junk slabs in my day. I have made a lot of junk slabs in my day, and I will continue to make a lot of junk slabs in my day because I still am not seeing those $1 slabs. Like I think you put that 7.5 CGC tops Pidgeotto non-hollow in an auction on eBay, and PokeJace is going to be right there bidding $5-7 on it, and he's going to be blowing your $1 junk slab theory out of the water until he's not, in which case great, which that shouldn't be the case. I don't think there should be 7.5 non-hollow Pidgeys or Pidgeottos or whatever, you know what I mean? At least make it a hollow, at least be submitting hollows, right? But it's definitely something that I think we're in the future we are going to see, and we haven't yet seen that reckoning, because sports you can't even sell some $1 slabs. I bet.
Well, the thing with the crappy stuff too, and PokeJace or whatever, is like they can monetize, like they can get more value out of it through like a game or a raffle or like whatever. But just in general, dude, like there is so much demand and so much money in cards right now. Like so much. Think a lot of like garbage is dropping for sure, but dude, like so many people are buying. It's nuts, man. Like there's a lot of money out there, and we're like headed into the holidays. We're in a recession. Like there's all this stuff going. People don't care, dude. People are spending money relentlessly. Like it's crazy, man. It just is like when does it? I feel like if you can survive through this down period or whatever, like even if it gets a little worse, like you're gonna come out the other side just killing it, because it's just wild, man. Like and that's why like I just really feel like demand is the main thing to focus on. Like I was gonna make a video, and it was gonna be about like 2 times I was wrong, and I was actually gonna mention that one time when I sat and argued with you about how I thought that Hidden Fates was going to do better, and you're like, oh, Evolving Skies is going to be like 175, and I was like, oh no, you're an idiot. And the whole thing was like the fundamentals were like, oh well, Hidden Fates is like, so everybody got back into the hobby through Hidden Fates. And I was like, oh look, Josh, there's like 1/20th the amount of Hidden Fates on eBay as there is Evolving Skies. And they did even 2 or 3 reprints since I argued with you of Evolving Skies, and Evolving Skies is still crushing Hidden Fates. Like the fundamentals don't fucking matter. Demand is what matters. Like demand is what pushed the price of those boxes up. Sitting and being like, oh, like 5 years from now, what could happen and what's more important to people's it's like none of that shit matters, dude. The fact is people wanted Rayquaza, people wanted Dragonite, people want the evolutions, period. That's it. Like demand is the only thing that matters, man. Like it's just yeah, like it's just wild. Like I was so wrong, so wrong about that, and I was just so focused on like, oh well, what are the numbers saying? What are the pop reports? But like, dude, consistently, like this market has proven almost everybody wrong, me included, because the demand is just nutty. Like it's just nuts, dude. People love this shit and they're spending money on it, and it is not stopping. Like
it's not stopping, but it's certainly slowed down a little bit. I will say it is certainly slowed down just a little bit, and I don't think it's just from my perspective, because it certainly is all around. I think the prices on certain things have stayed really strong, and they've gotten even better. Everyone likes to look at Evolving Skies. We've also even seen things like Chilling Reign and Fusion Strike appreciate a couple of bucks for booster boxes, which is incredible because those sets were just generally regarded as just trash. And so I personally like those sets, just to throw it out there. I'm not calling those trash, but the market decided they were when they just dumped them out all on under MSRP, like $88, $85 a booster box, which is lower than what you get at like distribution. And so there's that. I do think that Evolving Skies will get another reprint, and it's going to get slammed maybe once or twice more, but it's not going to matter for the price as much. It'll dip it, but it won't dip it all the way down. And I do agree with your other statement that if people in this down, it's not even that much of a down market because there's still a lot more going on with it. If it continues to go this way, in coming out the other side, you'll be pretty rewarded. I will say, though, that there are some signs of weakness in the market right now that are very disheartening that I wanted to talk to you guys about because I haven't had a chance to talk to anyone about this. And I might even say something to the chat because, like, you guys may not even be interested in this, but have you seen anything about, like, the Hasbro stock situation going on right now with near and dear to my heart, Magic the Gathering?
Oh my
As
god.
I have been right about so many things on this channel, I feel like I'm right and I've given so much to the chat and my predictions. I've been so wrong on some things. And Magic the Gathering right now, I've just been wrong about in most of the case. And it's just on fire. And I was always saying that I thought that Pokemon was a risky investment. All these other TCGs were much more risky, but I was comfortable putting my money in Magic the Gathering because I thought for sure nothing could ever go wrong with Magic. And then this last 2 years have happened basically with Magic. So long story short, for anyone who's in the chat, because this is a Pokemon channel, who doesn't know what's going on with Magic the Gathering, Hasbro stock in the last just month basically it's tanked. I think it was up at like 70 or 80 bucks typically at its highs. It was all the way up at like 90, almost 100 towards the real highs, but in the more recent times I think it was closer to that 80, 90 or 80, 70, 80 mark. It's dipped to almost 40 or $50 at this point. I think it went to like 60 and then like 50. It's dipped significantly and it's been forecasted double downgraded to like basically just even worse than it was before, which means it'll probably dip lower. And it's all because of Hasbro allegedly killing its quote unquote golden goose, which was Magic the Gathering, which Magic the Gathering was a substantial portion of Hasbro, the company who owned Wizards of the Coast. It was a big portion of their profits. And so Magic recently has just been slaughtering all of the recent sets. Any booster box, any collector box, any set box, they just print it to the ground. And if it does really good on the secondary market where it shows demand, they give it another reprint, print it, they just destroy it to the point where any potential value it had, it was milked dry. And they've done this for the last year, 2 years or so. They've done it in the form of secret layers where they're selling directly to their customers and cutting out the local game store, which they've always supposedly Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast has always been supportive of the LGS. They've always publicly said that at least, but they've been directly selling to their customers overpriced cards for a couple of years in the form of secret layers. Sure, cool. That one's been let slide. But just recently, the $1,000 booster box that was released, which was basically a recreation of something else they made called Collector's Edition back in like the 90s. They made this reprint set, which was not tournament legal, just for collectors. And it was very, very cheap back then. Well, they did it now, and they redid it with the old cards, but it's not very cheap now. They made it a $1,000 booster box. Any case, flash forward, Hasbro stock's on fire. Everything's going to the ground. And I want to know if you guys have heard anything about it and what your thoughts on that, or if you're even surprised. Because, like, I, as a Magic lover, Magic Gathering player, lover, Magic was always like my side piece. Like, I always had Magic the Gathering there. It was always there for me. And it was like, it's now just been, I don't know. I haven't felt that way in a long time, though. So have you guys been watching it?
Little bit. I literally bought like Magic decks the other day because I wanted to learn how to play, and then I was researching it, and homies be like, "Magic sucks. I hate Magic. I'm quitting Magic." And then my LCS is like saying a bunch of homies are like selling their cards, and I'm like, "Bruh, I got in at the wrong time." But maybe it's the right time. I don't know. I don't know enough about Magic to be completely honest with you, but I know the game is fun.
The game is one of the best games ever made in trading card games. Like,
All I've
Pokemon is
heard-
child's play. I hate to say it. Like, Pokemon, it has a great competitive market, and they actually care about their game in the TCG department, but they can't hold a candle to what Magic the Gathering has as far as, like, complexity and as far as the gameplay and, like, the competitive play, just the player base. Pokemon is always a collector base. That's why there's so many more slabs in Pokemon. Magic's always been a player base though. So those players are literally leaving in droves. They've been doing that for a while with Flesh and Blood. Like Flesh and Blood has been dragging most of the players out of like any players that actually still want to play the game but don't want to play Magic. They've gone to Flesh and Blood since then. But it is one of those things that it's tough to see because like I would have always said that Magic was like one of the best and most almost safe places in the trading card world to put your money, only because it's been around for so long. And I thought for sure Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, they would learn their lessons over being there for so long, and maybe they would know what they're doing. But no, definitely not the case.
Did you hear about the whole crypto thing with FTX too?
No, what happened with that?
Basically FTX. It's not similar at all, but it's like FTX was like a very like too big to fail thing, and people are putting it's like a wallet, and people are putting money into that, and then they got exposed, and now everything just crashed. And it's like FTX was sponsored by like Stephen Curry and Tom Brady and shit, and now everything on their platform just crashed.
Yeah. So basically, like, there's FTX, which is like an exchange. People have their money like in wallets on exchange, and they took people's money and lent it out to Alameda Research, which is like their trading arm, basically. So they were trading on leverage, got wrecked, whatever, and then couldn't cover like customers' deposits. So not a great situation. As far as like Hasbro goes, I mean, if you look at Nintendo stock, like Nintendo stock is not a great performer either. You know, I think people like sometimes will tie the two together, like, oh, Pokemon's doing well, so I should buy Nintendo stock, or I like Magic, so but it's having exposure to like a vintage Magic booster box is completely different than having exposure to Hasbro stock. Like it's not even, it's just two completely different assets, right? With like that exist in two completely different markets with completely different, you know, dynamics and buyers and sellers surrounding them. So personally, like I'm probably more confident in the stuff that they produce doing well than like the stock doing well. I don't know too much about like modern Magic or anything like that, but I do know that they kind of killed people's trust a little bit by you know, releasing the special edition whatever version of a lot of like the reserve list stuff. It just seems weird. It's like if your whole thing is like a reserve list and you're going to make that a thing that you have that other TCGs don't have, and it's this finite rule, like we don't ever reprint any of this stuff, like you can count on us, whatever. And then it's like, dude, you have so many different options. I mean, you've been collabing with Street Fighter and Fortnite and League of Legends and all this other stuff. You have so many creative options that can make you money, but the one you chose to do was to like reprint Black Lotus. Like it's just, there's just some other way they could have done it, man. Like release artist prints or sketch cards or something to be historical if you want to do a 30th. But reprinting parts of the reserve list, even if they're not tournament playable, or it just feels like, I don't know, man. It just feels weird, you know? Like, yeah.
They definitely missed the mark on it. That's what it was. They completely misread the room, and they've been misreading the room for their player base for so long because, and this is the thing, Rudy Alpha Investments always talks about it on his channel. He talks about the suits in their ivory tower as if it's a joke. He's not joking. At Wizards of the Coast, they really think that they know everything about trading card games. They think what I believe. Okay, so the way you guys listen to me talk about the romantic times of like Magic the Gathering, how much I love it, how comfortable I am in it, that's what they really think about themselves, to the point where they think they can do no wrong in their ivory towers, and they don't even listen to the public. Like any public facing interviews they do when they're regarding new products or criticisms about new products, concerns the Magic the Gathering community has. The Magic the Gathering community has a lot of concerns with a lot of things, and they're very vocal about those concerns, as any very passionate community is. When something is, you love it, you're very passionate about it, you vocalize your concerns. They have been voicing their concerns for many years about this issue that has just happened. So you're saying about the Hasbro thing, I agree with you about the fact that it usually has nothing to do with the stock and the product itself. In this particular case, they just destroyed consumer confidence. And so basically what happened was, by reprinting the reserve list, which is what actually happened with this new like reprint set, they did something they said they'd never do, and that was the only thing. Apparently it was this thin little thread. Nobody in Magic actually likes modern Magic very much. Everyone in modern Magic, when they make new sets, they wait for what reprints are going to be put in the new sets that are like new foils and new chase reprints that they can then use in their retro decks and their decks that they're playing in their formats with. So basically, by reprinting the reserve list, though, they destroyed the smallest, littlest, the sliverest of sliver that we were holding on to as Magic fans that had any confidence in the brand, and it was a complete rug pull. And so basically, Magic fans may be dumb, but we're not that dumb. We may be gullible, but we're not that gullible. And it's interesting because you've seen the whole market just sort of band together against them. And to be fair, they should, the stock should tank. Magic is their golden goose. Like, they have nothing. What do they have? Action figures? Like, what does Hasbro have? Like, I mean, what else do they do? Wizards of the Coast is their
that's
only
another
moneymaker.
Yeah, that's another thing I was gonna say too. Is like, I mean, I don't know. I don't have kids, but like when we were kids, like having action figures was cool, right? Like, or little army men or whatever. But now, like with all this technology and the metaverse and blah blah blah, like, are kids still playing with action figures? Like, is that still a seller? I don't know. I don't know if that's really getting them a lot of revenue. The other thing is, like, Pokemon's IP is so strong, and Magic's IP is just not as accessible. Like, you can access the Pokemon. Yeah, you can access like the Pokemon story or IP like so many ways, so easily, right? Like the show, the manga, the card, like whatever. Magic, like,
why they're trying to cross over with these other universes in Magic, because they know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, like to even figure out like what a planeswalker is, I had to listen to like the Geeked Out Collecting podcast. I don't know if you guys listen to that, and she like did a breakdown of like what the Magic lore was and what the different, like, I didn't know anything, right? And like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and if I were gonna go into a store, there's like 6 different types of products that come with different packs that have different cards in them, and certain cards are foil and it's just like, dude, with Pokemon, like, you buy an ETB or a booster box or a blister, if it's a Fusion Strike pack, it's a Fusion Strike pack. You know what to expect. It's so much easier for like a new person to get in and understand what's going on. And
that's the thing about Magic misreading the community. Like, for some reason, the big higher ups at Wizards of the Coast thought that everyone wanted 3 different versions of every product, and they wanted 69 variants of every card, and they wanted a foil version, a non-foil version, an etched foil version, an etched non-foil, etched foil version of the etched foil version. They wanted all these different versions of the versions, and nobody was sitting there except for the community. The community was screaming at the top of their lungs, myself included. Like, back, I made about a year ago, I made a YouTube video about my favorite Jumpstart set was my favorite Magic Gathering set, because in that year it was the only set that they made with one single product. Basically, it didn't have a million different product lines. It was just a single, really focused, good product. And so similar things, they just didn't read the room. And so they basically have just been milking the cow for so long, and they've been milking it for so hard, and the economy was helping them. That booming economy that all the other TCGs like Pokemon helped propped Magic the Gathering up so they could make their terrible ass backwards decisions and be rewarded with it last year with having one of the biggest quarterly like results they've ever had in their stock earnings. They had a huge year last year, and they showed it in their stocks, and they made big brags about it. They're like, "Ooh, we are the biggest year ever. We're doing so good." And they just took it and they reprinted the hell out of everything. Like, let's just keep milking this one till it's dry. And it dried up real quick, and the community wasn't happy about it. So, and to me, it just brings a little tickle, a little warmth to this like cold, dead heart of mine, to see some small little bit of justice being done, and that justice is the stock plummeting. I hope the CEOs and the CFOs and the suits at Hasbro and at Wizards of the Coast, I hope they get sacked. I hope Mark Rosewater, I've said this for years, gets fired. He is a terrible person for the Magic the Gathering brand. Has been for years. I love the guy when he actually edited and did like editing and like did editorials in Inquest magazine. He also did some stuff like when he was like making sets that was kind of cool. But when he became like the head of Magic, it just went in a south direction. That guy needs to get sacked. As well as like all the other higher ups up there, there needs to be some sort of like repositioning, in my opinion, because they just don't care. They say one thing on Twitter, they just completely lie. They just lie, and they think they can get away with it. And I'm glad. I hope they're sweating right now. So that's all I got to say about the Magic thing. I know you guys aren't Magic people, but it's certain.
Yeah. What's up with you, Flex? I didn't get to see you at all in Denver, really. Like, what's been up with you? What's on your mind?
Nothing much. Just trying to recoup from PSA subs. So that's where I'm at. I think we're all in the same boat of just a bunch of PSA submissions coming back. But I don't know. I'm trying to think because it's been a long time actually. Because we kept postponing the podcast too.
It's been a month since we've last done the podcast, so this live has been a long time in the coming for sure.
That's crazy.
But what have you guys been doing in the last month? Because I've talked a little bit with you guys on like Discord and things, but I haven't really caught up with it. So last time we talked, it was the convention. It was right before the convention, but now we've all had the convention. Did you have a good convention, Flex? Did you like sell a lot?
Mine was good. I moved the Trico Gold Star. I moved a lot of big cards, and that felt really, really good. So I'm glad I moved most of those. Like I moved like the Shining Gyarados, like first that I had. I moved a bunch of those types of cards, and that was fire. And then what else? I was buying a lot after the show. Like I came back, like I bought a bunch at the show, and I came back and bought a bunch of stuff too. And then I'm in the cycle now where I'm like, oh, bro, I spent way too much. I need to like step back and start selling stuff. So that's where I'm at. And then everything's kind of slow. So that's where I'm at. What about you guys? How was the show for you?
What did you buy mainly? Did you buy like Pokemon to grade and stuff, or sports, or
stuff to grade? So at the convention, actually, I got a complete Neo Discovery lot. I was telling Josh earlier, but I got a complete Neo Discovery first edition lot. And it was basically, it really seemed like everyone, or like every card they got, they like ripped because everything looks pack fresh. Dude, it was crazy. And then they had.
Okay, I thought you meant ripped.
Oh, like, no. Like they like ripped the packs, but
okay, yeah.
Dude, gosh, I wish someone would know. Dude, I kept reading that. I was like, bro, that was so funny. But what was I gonna say? So I mean, I got that, and that was super chilling. If I can just hit a 10 on the Umbreon, my life would be perfect. But I'm trying to think what else. I've been buying a lot of.
You have a Moonbreon?
What's up?
You have a Moonbreon?
No, I was talking about the Neo Discovery Umbreon.
Oh, I was to say, we talking about Moonbreon now? I'm excited. Now I'm all perked up about that.
We can talk about
the original Moonbreon. Doesn't it have the moon in the background?
Yeah. It's the original one.
Yeah. But dude, how do you guys feel about Moonbreon? I haven't gotten one yet. I was gonna get one, and they wanted $600 for it, and I'm like, bro, I'm not trying to do that right now.
Well, I have 4 of them, so I feel like Moonbreons, I like them, but I definitely probably don't need 4 of them. I have 2 of them in grading currently, and 2 that have already been graded. They should be back by tomorrow. The 2 that got graded got 10s, both 10s, and the other 2 should have gotten 10s as well. I haven't seen the grades yet, but I think they're in like Q2 or QA2 or whatever, so it'll probably be another day or so. I sent them at the $100 tier though. I got them for about between $400 and $450 were my buy prices on those, and I was buying them when they were $1,500 PSA 10s as those auctions were popping off. And I literally had them for less than 6 hours in my hand before I sent them to get graded. So it could have been a quicker. I thought about doing the 150 tier, but I thought the difference between $50 and $200 tier at PSA is nominal. It's complete roll of the dice. So I actually had someone in the chat, Ancient Mew, that was sending around the same time. He had 2 that we were talking about. He's like, should I send them? Should I keep them raw? And they were popping off at like 1,500. I said, Ancient Mew, if you don't send those stupid Moonbryons to get graded, if you think they're going to get 10s, I'm not talking to you anymore. We can't be friends anymore because it is just irrational not to do so. So we both sent, and he got his 50, I think the same day my 100 was popped off. So I'm saying I think that 50 and 200 tier is really doesn't matter. They don't care. They grade as quickly or not quickly as they want to. It's like the $30 tier, it's a little quicker, I feel like, than the bulk, just a little bit, but only by the slightest amount. Because we just had a bulk $15 tier come back in like a month, one single month. So
I got a question really quick. I gotta go soon, but when you guys send cards, how many cards you guys send in? Like how many like what are your general like order numbers?
It depends on the submission. Like this last sub, I sent in 141. It was a huge submission. It was a bulk submission though, and it was a bunch of like rando modern stuff. For higher end things, like for example with the Moonbryon, I didn't send all 4 Moonbryons in the same submission. I sent them in 2 separate submissions, 2 separate shipments, because I didn't want them to look at 4 Moonbryons in a row and decide that the weakest one or the weakest 2 were 9s. I wanted them to see 2 good ones and then 2 good ones and think, okay, those are both 10s, and then those are both 10s. Or at worst, maybe one gets a 9 and like, one's a 10, one's a 9. I didn't want that. So in orders like that, I do care about how many I send. I've sent 13 card orders where they're like $30 tier, where just I'm sending a couple things in that are of higher value that I thought might get upcharged if I didn't send it at the higher tier. Or I've sent, big 25, 30 card, bulk $18 orders. It's really dependent. So my usual is to go for bulk is bigger though. I prefer bigger orders.
Okay, I was gonna say, do you feel this is just my own like confirmation bias or where I'm coming from, but like, do you feel where if you send like really big orders in bulk, your ratio of like 10s are way less than if you just did a 30, like if you did 30 cards at like $30? This is just my own experience, and I'm just trying to get everyone else's opinion on it because I'm really curious. Because it's like I'll send in stuff and it'll be like 30 cards at like 30, and then it'll be like a lot of 10s, and then it's like all my like big orders at like bulk at 200, the rates are like 50%. I'm just wondering if it's a me thing or if it's like you know what I mean?
Well, is part of it too, because at least for me, like if I'm gonna pay, especially now with how quick like 15 and 18s have been coming back, if I'm gonna pay like 30 or 50, it has to be a pretty big card and it has to be like a guaranteed 10. Whereas like with 15 and 18, there's cards that I'm in for nothing that'll sell for like 30 to 40 bucks in a 9 that I'm like, yeah, screw it. If it gets a 9, I'm still making money because it's not going to sell raw. And if it does, I'm going to take like $2. So I'd rather make like 5 or 10 bucks by putting it in a slab than like listing it on eBay and like waiting for somebody to offer me like 250. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, could it be too that maybe you are sending in stuff that you're like, okay, well, this isn't as perfect, but it's still worth it because grading is so cheap? Or are you still sending like everything that you think will 10 only?
I don't know. It's a tough question. Like that probably does skew my viewpoint of it. But honestly, a lot of times with PSA, what I used to do is I'm like, oh, if it can 10, like this is tenable. And I'm like, it has a few flaws, but it's like a 50-50 10. Like I would get a lot of 10s on the 50-50 10s. And I feel like I get way more 9s on the 50-50 10s, like in the bigger subs. But I don't know. It's just a thought. Big sub.
It can go both ways, and without knowing if it's the exact same card, like if you have a clone of the card, which isn't possible, obviously, it would be really tough to say, sending the 2 different, one in a big bulk order, seeing the 10 rate. I will say that I just sent a big order and it was a bunch of bulk stuff, and I definitely didn't pre-grade it as hardly as I would have because it was just chucking stuff to PSA at the cheapest rate that they had offered at $15 as much as I could. So like I did send a lot of things that probably would have 9 that I thought, it's PSA, maybe they'll give it a 10. And so, like, I will say my 10 rate wasn't as high as it would have been if I was really picking and choosing over each card, like I typically would with a 30 to 50 to $100 tier. Like, I wouldn't have sent a Moonbryon that was going to 9. I would have sold that raw, you know, I would have been picky and choose, and I would have paid more to do it. But at the same time, I probably sent some birthday Pikachus that I was looking at that I'd bought for $5. I probably sent a bunch of birthday Pikachus that were likely 9s that I was hoping for 10s on, that still at, you know, getting a 9 is like, fine, it's a $5. I'll sell it for like a $15 or $20 slab or something. I think those things are still like 20, 25 bucks on eBay right now for 9s of the birthday Pikachus. So it is one of those things that, like, I think in my case, I wasn't as like harsh pre-grading. So I was punished with a lot of like 9s with modern, but there were a few 10s that I think they gave that were pretty like lenient at the same time. And I think I chucked in the same case, like I chucked a lot of bulk like hollows from Diamond and Pearl era. I was hoping to get a bunch of 9s and I guess a couple of 8s. I got a bunch of 8s and a couple of 9s, but at the same time, looking at them beforehand, it's still like the 9s I got, it's a win, and the 8s are still like probably even a win. And so it's like, I just didn't pre-grade it harshly enough, and that was on me. So I don't know. I think they probably were upgrading some things because they saw so many and they're going so quickly, but at the same time, maybe not. I don't know. It's one of those things. We speculate all the time on PSA grading. I think the thing that we love to do the most is speculate on what is going through a PSA grader's head. And without being there in the room with them, looking at it and be like, when they're looking at the card, they're showing it to their buddy, hey, look at this thing. If they even care that much, then it's hard to say what's going through their head.
Yeah.
I think if you send like a smaller sub and it's more curated or whatever, you probably will get, you know, maybe a little bit of a higher 10 rate. But I feel like once you get to the point, like if you're sending hundreds and hundreds of cards, it's like, what's your time worth? And is it really worth it to like sit and break down those subs? Like, I feel like overall with volume, you're still going to come out on top. But if it's like a high value card, I don't mind sending like 5 cards at like a 50, you know, it doesn't need to be like a 20 card sub. Like I'll just send 5 or something. And I do feel like if you pay up a little bit and it's a nice card and like I said, you curate the sub well, like I feel like you're going to get pretty good 10s. The grade harsher for English. I wouldn't, definitely not for like old back right now, old back Japanese. PSA is doing it dirty for sure. Like I got some CD promos that were mint that got like 8s, you know. Jake Smith sent a few cards with me. He sent like the cleanest Mewtwo CD promo, or not CD, Koro, or maybe it was vending, I don't know, one of the old glossy, you know, Mewtwo's or whatever. It was a clean card and it got like a 7 and there's no whitening on it. So I feel like they're a lot harsher on old back now than they were. New back, maybe not so much, but, and if you look at like English modern, they grade English modern easier than almost anything, you know, like there's OC alt arts that are 10 all day long, you know. So
yeah, I was about to say in my last sub, I got a bunch of alt arts that I was looking at that there were some 9s that I thought should have 10'd and some 10s that probably should have 9'd. It was pretty funny, but of course, here we are. The 10s will sell and the 9s won't, and the 9s will just sit, and I'll have to think about regrading if I ever want to, but I'll probably just sell them. So it's one of those things. So here's a question for you. As with this big submission that's coming back, I already know what you're going to say about this, but it's always a good point to hammer home. When you have a chance to break even or even sell for a little bit of a loss to get out of a card, like say you get a PSA 9 on something, is it worth, do you think, to you trying to crack that card and re-optimize it and try to get the 10? Or is it better off just to kind of get a new card and sort of sell it as is and then try to go? Because like I was just saying, there are a lot of 9s that we got that probably should have 10'd. And I'm sitting here thinking, I can sell these things. I can either sell them for what they're basically worth and just market value and probably break even on it, sort of. Or I could potentially crack them and send them in the next bulk submission when it's even cheaper to send, because maybe it'll be $12 to send and get a 10 and then send another $12. But it's only so much worth it when you're dealing in low end cards to optimize and re-optimize. So if you're talking about a card that's probably like a $30 to $50 card, it's probably worth it. Whereas if you're talking about a card that's like a $10 to $20 card, raw, we're talking raw, I'm talking raw at least, it's probably not worth it. And then when you grade it, it jumps up quite a bit. So like I got some Celebi Vs, like some which sell for about 150, 160 as a 10, but as a 9, they sell for like 40 bucks, 30, 40 bucks basically. And so essentially a couple of those should have been 10s probably. I'm thinking like, well, it's a $150 card. It's probably worth the extra $12 in cracking the slab to optimize and maybe, but at the same time, it's extra work, it's extra time. That's like 2 months of time. I'm curious what you guys think about situations where you're on the line with that kind of thing.
For me, the number has to be super worth it. At that percentage, what was it? You're in the Selby is what 25, and then you put in 18, so then that's like 45 almost, and then you're putting in another. Like, I don't know, it's such a card to card basis. Like, I only like doing it if it makes a lot of sense. Like, I have this Brady downtown that got a PSA 9, and a PSA 9 does 400, but then a PSA 10 does like 13. So I'm like, I'm just gonna keep sending that one in over and over and over again until it gets a PSA 10. But for that, I mean, the margin does make sense though. I don't know, it's tough. Did you get a hit?
No, of course not.
Also, I gotta go.
Oh, whoops.
So I'm saying later to everyone. Goodbye, chat.
Skedaddle.
Yeah, I gotta dip.
All right, man. Have a good rest of your night.
Laters. You guys have fun.
All right, peace.
How do I dip?
Yeah, so basically with English cards, I don't think that they grade them harder. I just think that they're garbage quality compared to like the Japanese quality. I do think that with the Japanese cards, as far as centering is concerned, it's a little bit more difficult to tell on centering. And so maybe they do have a harder time actually grading them. But with English, I just think the card quality is just garbage. So at this point, I think it's kind of fun. We can open up to the chat a little bit more since now we've lost our third co-host here. But I definitely feel like I'm going to be selling some Moonbryons at this point, and I haven't decided whether I'm going to auction or if I'm going to buy it now. But I have a feeling that if auctioned in the right platform or if advertised in the right way, an auction might be better than a buy it now, because buy it nows, there's so many of them on the market. There's literally, you can have your choice of your run of the mill. But if you're in the market to buy a Moonbryon in auction, there's usually only 1 or 2 happening per day or every other day. I've been watching several auctions and they're still ending at that close, like that 1,000 mark basically, which is what the buy it now price is on them. And even in like low people with no feedback and like, first time auctioneers, it's just a popular enough card. So I'm wondering if I should probably start thinking about putting some to auction, which is something I've never, ever traditionally done before. But with like high value in demand cards, I almost feel like it's worth it putting them to auction sometimes. What do you think about that? Do you think I'd be crazy just to put something that high of value up for auction?
Yeah, when we were talking about it earlier, basically I was looking at the prices on eBay and it looks like they're still ending for, like you said, like 950 to 1,000 on auction. So, I would definitely let it ride for sure. Just make sure that your listing's optimized. You got your title right, your keywords, blah, blah, blah. Maybe pay to do the promoted or whatever. But yeah, like you have a lot. It would be different if you had like one and there weren't, like you said, so many other options out there. But yeah,
without auctioning, you could never realize that it could never. And to Oak's point right here, I want to make a point on a video he made about the old made cards that were happening. If you don't run auctions, you will never see the $200, $300 crazy price points for these stupid 5-cent cards. And that's the same thing. If you don't run Moonbryon auctions, it will never go up in value. It'll go and stay at that buy it now. So there is an argument to be made. Now, at the same time, auctions won't go above that buy it now price. If there are 1,000 buy it now prices while the auction's happening, it'll make it like a floor, because then why would you ever pay more in auction that you could just go and buy it now? So people will stop bidding once it hits that floor, because they think, oh, I'll just go to a couple of these different auctions. So a couple of these different buy it now.
When you create that sense of urgency, like I pulled a Roxanne full art trainer, and it was like super OC miscut, had the print dot or whatever. And I listed it on Facebook in like one of the error groups and was like, hey, I'm accepting offers for this. Most people send me like offers of like $40 to $60. And I was down to take that because I think it's like a $10 card or whatever. Message people like, hey man, like, do you want to PayPal, Venmo, whatever? Nobody ever responded. So after a week, I was like, all right, I'm just going to throw it on 10-day auction on eBay. It ends on Sunday. It's got 312 views, 58 watchers, and it's already at $41. And that card's going to go nuts, dude. Nuts. And like,
yeah, with that many watchers, hell yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So it's crazy, man. Like, I don't usually auction. Like, most of my business model is like buy it now or best offer. But like I try
That's
to
what
run
I traditionally
auctions.
do as well. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like sitting here like, but sometimes auctions are better. And it's interesting to be able to optimize that and figure out when those auctions are better. But
I think it would be different if like you were in the card for like $100 and it was selling on auction between like 150 and 200, and you needed it to sell towards 200 for you to really make any sort of decent profit. But even if that card sells for like $900, you're still making like what, 275 after fees or something like that. So like you're still winning. And if it does sell for like 950, you're making like $400. So the spread is like a lot bigger, and you have like, even if one goes low, like you have four. You know what I mean? Like,
oh no, for
so
sure, I'm
yeah.
auctioning. Like, I've been considering whether or not I just auction it like on two different platforms. If I go on my platform, I'm probably just gonna run it on my own eBay because I have good feedback, and I have buy it nows and regularly make sales, and I do run auctions sometimes. So I've been running auctions the last couple of weeks. So like I've just kind of been testing the water. And to be honest, auctions sell things. Like, I would have never ever sold this crap,
My
these jumbo
eyes,
cards,
my
if I didn't put it in an auction.
eyes.
99-cent auctions. And there were, you know what those sold for? There's 12 of them in that stack, and there's like a Rayquaza and like a Charizard, and then the 3 evolution alternate arts sold for like $31 plus shipping. So I don't know. Like, people buy things in auction that you would never ever be able to sell and buy it now. Nobody's gonna sit there but so some things do deserve to go to auction and others don't. Whereas I personally struggle putting some things to auction, but with the case of the Mubron, where I specifically bought them, try to flip them immediately, one of them is going to go to market, and then I'm going to watch and wait to kind of see if there's others coming to market at the same time. And then I'm going to put another one to market as well, because the demand's so high on that card. I'm not worried about not having enough people who want that card, basically. So, and it's also just at 1,500. So I think there's people who are not buying it before when it was at 700, who saw it go to 1,500, who are now seeing it at 1,000, who are now new buyers at that card at that higher price point, because they feel like it's a better deal and they think it'll go back up potentially, or has the potential to, because it's on like a deal at 1,000 now. So I don't think that's $1,000 card personally, but I do think the market is still valuing it as that.
I mean,
and so
boxes are like, what, still 250? You're not opening 4 boxes and pulling that card.
Yeah, and I mean, I would never, like, I've always said, I've taken the position on this channel that I do not like Evolving Skies as a set. I think it's a bad set. The experience it offers and brings to the table is not good for the opener or the hobby in general, because it just burns through, at least at these higher prices. Like, at the prices that they have to be at to sustain these high price alternate arts, Yeah, it's not a fun set. So like, whereas you have a good set, a set like Lost Origin that's $100 a booster box, you can open and have a great time opening all kinds of hits. Get Pikachu, Charizard, Gengar, Snorlax, literally gold, alternate arts. I mean, you name it, it's got it. It's got great chase cards. The Giratina's ripping at like 600 for a PSA 10 still, which is ridiculous for a Giratina. The Aerodactyl is still very valuable. It's like chase cards. So if you really need that like value, like to hit like that big value card, it's there. But if you don't care about value, it's just $100 booster box. It's such a good set. Like I think I made a video about Lost Origin about how it's like one of the best sets, and I definitely still hold to that. It just came out at a time where everyone's obsessed with Moonbryon and Evolving Skies. Literally, only thing people in this hobby care about is Evolving Skies for some reason right now. It was for a short period of time they're obsessed with the Charizard UPC. Now it's not really either of those things. I don't really know what people they were. It's the hobby moves on quickly. Curious, chat, what's the hobby moving? What are we talking about right now? It was signatures a couple of weeks ago. We were mad about signatures. Now we're mad about the UPCs tanking. Like we've already gone over the whole like Charizard PSA 9 UPCs are like going for what, $60 to $80 a card or something. So you're already losing money if you sent it at like $50 basically. So that's already old news. But what is the hobby going on nowadays?
Aerodactyl, the English, the last sold is 370 in a 10 on auction.
It's $125 card. So like
yeah,
you could buy that card, a good
up.
centered one, on Facebook Marketplace. You could go on Whatnot and buy it from someone where you see the card and just pay full price for it. Send it at $30 to $50 and get it back in like a month and a half. Hopefully it doesn't go to like under 200 of that price. And you're still basically at least going, if you get a 10, you're going to make a couple bucks. And that's like that's just buying it outright. You can get it for a better deal than that if you buy it in like a deal. You get it off of without fees, maybe on Instagram or somewhere like that. You can do much better than that. So, or you pull it out of a pack yourself. There's still very much so plays in English to be made. Well, thank you. I had a special delivery of water here at Droplet.
Yeah, that's always nice. Yeah, man. I mean, things are still strong. Like, yeah, $400 for that card is crazy. I mean, the Giratina art is really nice, but Giratina wasn't a Pokemon that too many people were talking about before the alt art came out. So to see it at $600 still is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, man. Yeah,
people like tens.
Yeah, people like tens, and people just like cool stuff. Like even when I went to just now type in Aerodactyl, I didn't even get like all the way through Aerodactyl, and like the first three are like Aerodactyl V Alt-Art, Aerodactyl V Full Art. It wasn't Aerodactyl, first edition WotC Hollow. Like it's like there's like so much infinitely more demand for these cards. And it's just because people like them. Like people just like it. It's cool. Like it is what it is. Like it's what's driving the market. You know what I mean? And like this idea that like that your assessment of like old school fundamentals are better predictions of how the market's going to move than, a multi-billion-dollar company like Pokemon that's been doing this for 25 years. And like, you don't think that they know how to play the market, and they're seeing the numbers. We're not. We got 9.1 billion cards. Like we got to see that number, but that's it. Like we don't know really like how, like they see infinitely more data than we do. And they're doing a great job. Like they're crushing it. They've still got cards going for $400, $500, $600 on the secondary market. Almost every set. Like, yeah, man, like they're killing it, So like stop like fighting against like Pokemon's doing a lot of the work for us. I feel like, like they're making cool stuff that people really like. And that's good for, vintage too, because people will trickle into vintage and trickle into mid-gen and all that stuff. But what's really keeping everything alive is the modern, like it's really keeping it alive. That's I don't know if that's a hot take, but I'm not even saying like it's my favorite thing or I have like just cases of boxes, because I don't. I'm just saying that like modern is the market right now. Like modern's moving the market.
It
So
definitely is, and I think there's a good reason for that. I think they're doing good things. One thing I will say is I'm a little worried about Scarlet and Violet. There's a take that I've heard from a few people that I definitely agree with, and I think that for some reason that in the beginning of blocks they kind of go backwards a little bit and they take some things away from like the artworks, and it seems like they I don't know. So I have a feeling we're gonna lose some like either alternative arts, rainbow rares, which no one's gonna be upset if we lose rainbow rares, but like we're definitely losing the trainer galleries. Those are going away. Like I think that Crown Zenith might be possibly the last where we get that extra hit in the reverse slot. Maybe in this new set they're gonna go back to like the new EXs and the new stuff and being only one hit per pack, where you get one in the V slot or the rare slot basically, and like they have with every other set, like sort, and then they at the end of the block they kind of trickle in the better, like the trainer galleries, the extra stuff. I mean, that kind of thing. Am I wrong to think that? Like it seems like it would be a weird decision to make, but like Sword and Shield block, like thinking back on it, they went from Hidden Fates at the end of Sword and Shield blocks, or at or end of Sun and Moon block, the Cosmic Eclipse, Hidden Fates, and then they went right into Sword and Shield base. What did they give us in Sword and Shield base that was new and exciting besides Sword and Shield base new Zashi and Zamazenta, the new starters and all that kind of stuff? But there's nothing. They didn't give us new full arts. They didn't give us new gold cards. No new rainbows. They took away the secret rares that they had in Cosmic Eclipse for the character arts. They took away the tag teams that were in the end of the era of Sun and Moon. They took away the full art shinies that they put out in the shiny, Sun and Moon era holiday set, which is basically what Crown Zenith is going to be. So I'm very interesting. It's interesting to think that maybe they're going to like remove that from us. And if that's the case, do you think there's going to be enough demand in this modern hobby? So, okay, not demand, because nobody's going to care if there's not alt arts in this new set. Nobody's going to care about the little EX that they put behind the new starter, the new garbage starter that they're putting out. Man, all the starters, I'm not happy with any of them, seeing them now. Like, I'm sorry, anyone who's loving those starters, I apologize to anyone I offend right now, but I just saw all of them because it's coming out tomorrow and I'm thinking about getting it, and I'm getting it Scarlet, and so I'm like looking at the different starters, and I'm a Fuecoco guy, of course, because like that guy, little shy guy, he's cool little shy guy, but I'm not into the evolution. I'm definitely not into the evolution, but I'm certainly not into the Quaxley evolution, and I'm certainly not into the Grass Cat. So here we are. So, but do you think it'll be enough to carry if they remove the alternate arts or the trainer galleries, or maybe both of them? I think rainbow rares are gone, right? Do we think they're gone? I feel like it's safe to say they're gone, right?
yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I think like full art in general, like whether that's going to be like a trainer gallery or an altar or like whatever people are going to call it, like I don't think they're like, I think full art cards are just here to stay. And if you look at a lot of popular TCGs, like those are the chase cards that continue to do really well, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Ball Super, Weiss Schwartz. Like it's always the full art. Maybe it has a signature on it. It's got a special type of like foiling or whatever, but it's like allowing an artist to have an entire card to work with instead of like a tiny little frame. You can just do so much more with it. You can tell so much more of a story. And a lot of people complain that the main issue with a lot of the modern Pokemon sets is they don't like have any set identity or story or whatever. And I feel like the story you do get is on like the trainer gallery cards or the full arts or whatever. Like Charizard UPC promo, like him flying up a mountain, Mewtwo's doing the Kamehameha, and like then you got like little Diglett on the mountain. Like that's a sick card. Like that's like a battle scene. You know what I mean? Yeah, dude. Like I don't think it's going anywhere. I talked to somebody that like actually works at Wizards in set development, and he was telling me that they plan sets 3 years ahead of time. So if it's anything like that with Pokemon, which I imagine it is, because like you said, Wizards isn't really the greatest. So if Wizards is doing it, then I would hope Pokemon's doing it. Like I'm sure Pokemon's got great ideas, dude, and they've just been like crushing it. There's always going to be people that are like mad about it or whatever, but like bottom line, like Pokemon's still crushing it. You know, like people love this.
It'll do good, but I just have concerns because of trends I've seen in the past. And
I think I see what you're saying about like the base sets. Like I think the base set of Scarlet and Violet might be kind of bunk, like for sure. I definitely could see that that set being a dud, but I could also see like there's so many cards that people like in V Star Universe and so many Japanese cards that people like that still haven't come out. So if they don't all go into Crown Zenith, then maybe they'll end up in like the first set of Scarlet and Violet. Like I don't know. You know.
Can I
so.
remind you that they had alternate arts in Pokemon in Sun and Moon era at the end of the era for alternate art, tag team, full arts, and they took that away and they didn't bring alternate arts back until Battle Styles, and everyone forgot about them and they acted like those are the first alternate arts ever in Battle Styles. They weren't. They were actually alternate arts from the X and Y era. I don't know if these count as alternate arts, but these are like the mythical promos.
Yeah.
They're like full art versions of cards that they made for. These are like alternate arts. There's also alternate art like where's the? I mean, there's some really cool alternate arts out there, guys. Let me just say that. Like, there's the where is he? The freaking this one. That's an alternate art, chat. I don't know if you guys remember. They have had alternate art. Yeah, they have alternate arts. They have had them. This card has been made 3 times in this set. There's the EX, this version, the regular version, and then the full art version. So, like, this whole, like, concept that they won't remove things and bring them back, I think that's a little bit of a misconception because they've definitely done it before. So that's my concern. I don't think that we're going to lose demand in Pokemon. I don't think that people are going to slow down or be like not as interested. There's going to be. I just think it's a concern that I have about the new set that I feel is interesting that I never noticed before thinking back on it. But it is, if they do it on this set, it's definitely something that they do, and they might do that to try to focus on the new generation more. So I would understand like wanting the new mechanic, the new EX cards to be the first time they're being revealed, to be the main highlight. So you don't want people to be hunting the alternate art when literally you want them to be excited about the new EX cards that they're pulling, the new starters, the new mechanics, the new whatever break card that they're going to put in there. Because, you know, they're probably going to do some sort of a new type of break card or a radiant card or something. So I'm interested to see what they do. That's as with any new era. I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm a little bit anxious. And I'm also I'm optimistic about the future of it. So it's just all of those things wrapped up in one. But are you going to get the game and play it tomorrow on release? Or are you not into the game or whatever? Are you more of a TCG guy?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know if I'll have time to play. I got like 2 weeks left in this quarter for school. So I'm kind of trying to like finish out strong. I want to get it because I want to get Quaxley really bad, and I want to play it, you know, with my friends. It's cool that you can finally like play online with people and stuff like that. So playing.
So I haven't seen as much of the play demos. So you can actually, it's fully multiplayer, or how multiplayer is it?
Yeah, I think you can have like up to 4 people or something in your party, and you can like run around together. And I think there's like raids and different stuff that you can do together. So I'm trying to roam around with the spicy boys.
That sounds actually really fun. Like, I didn't know you could fully play like that. That's actually dope.
Yeah, it just like, because I mean, I like the Pokemon games, but if I'm gonna play like a solo kind of like JRPG, it's probably gonna be more like a Chrono Trigger or a Final Fantasy or something like that. Pokemon to me, like, yeah, it's always kind of missed that, like, you know, playing with other people. It's crazy to me that there is no like Pokemon MMO or any. I mean, there is one, but it's not like an official like by the Pokemon company or whatever.
It's called Pokemon Go, man.
Yeah, but it's not
real life Pokemon.
It's not the same, man. Like, you should be able to go to like all the regions, get all the badges, catch all the Pokemon, trade with people in real time, battle with people in real. Like, you should be able to do all that stuff.
Pokemon Go should have been a real life MMO for Pokemon. Like, if you could actually battle, that's what it should have been. I know that there's like
battling in Pokemon Go is whack, dude.
Yeah, imagine if you and me could walk up to each other and like on the street and be like, "Yo, you're a crappy trainer, and I think you're the shittiest Pokemon trainer that ever existed. I want to throw down right now, and we could like get out our team of 6 and battle real quick because like everyone has it in their pocket. But no, they had to do this weird like that's what it would look like. Like we could have been out here like battling, throwing down like real trainers, like looking like badasses, but instead we're just sitting here just like. So that's what I gotta say for Niantic. So they really they dropped the ball on that one for the battling system in Pokemon Go because that's all it would have taken, I think. But I think they had some sort of like limitation based on like Pokemon is really, really careful about their video game series because it's their main moneymaker. So like Pokemon makes a lot of money with the TCG and all the plushies and all that stuff, but I think their main moneymaker has always been the video games. And the reason that they pump out 2 versions of the video games is because they like making money. And so in like they don't do it because they like have so much content they have to release it in 2 different games. Like they figured out very early on how to milk their customer base dry by making 2 different versions with distinctly different with like very little differences, but just very, very few, but enough that you want to get what's there. So like they already knew that. So like I think that they're so protective about their battling system that they wouldn't allow for this new game to like
but the battling system is so like that's the same thing that they had in Final Fantasy in the 80s. Like that's nothing new, you know, like turn-based RPGs, like press attack, bag, item, run. Like that's
right.
so...
And I don't think it's anything that's like, but there's something like about it that I don't think Niantic was allowed to use. It was proprietary to like the Pokemon battling system that I think Pokemon probably, unless I'm mistaken, but I don't think they were allowed to do the same thing. Maybe they were contractually had to make a new game with new mechanics and they thought that would be better for the game in some way, which clearly that wasn't the case. But I don't know. That's interesting. I would love to talk to someone about that, Niantic. As a ex Pokemon Go player, someone who used to play like when it first came out quite a lot, I would love to like interview someone at Niantic sometime just to see like how the game's going now because I know it's still going, right? But I don't currently still play anymore. Are you a Pokemon Go player? Yeah, no, neither am I.
I can't get into it, dude. Like phone games in general to me is just like I know there's some fun stuff out there, but it's just like it's just a time drain, you know. Like you get like what's the like Clash of Clans or what? Like I can't, dude. I will never download TikTok, bro. TikTok is like Satan's app or something. But
bro, I've been blowing up on TikTok. I have like 20 something followers right now, and I just started posting like 2 days ago, and my videos have been hitting like 500 to 1,000 views, which isn't very much, but for like a brand new follower or a brand new person, I feel like that's pretty crazy. I don't know who the hell's watching these videos, but probably kids on TikTok. So I've recently found TikTok and I'm joking, not blowing up on TikTok, but I'm trying it out and I'm actually enjoying the process of making videos on TikTok. I haven't started scrolling. Like I haven't done the whole scrolling thing because like whenever I go, that's dangerous. That's not dangerous. It makes me mad when I go there. Like it's first of all really loud. Like whenever I'm on that part of the app, the part where like there's videos going, it's not my videos, it's very loud and there's a lot of music and a lot of like dancing and a lot of like it makes me as a Pokeboomer very uncomfortable being on TikTok currently because I haven't like optimized my search, I guess my homepage or whatever. So it's still showing me like weird like things that I don't care about, but when it's all showing me only Pokemon and stuff, when I've optimized on the right accounts and it's like my Instagram, I'll probably like it a lot more and I'll stop being so intimidated by that moving side of the screen. Right now I'm just on the video making side and like the producer side of the screen. I haven't ventured over to the content consumer part of it, and so like I probably will eventually go there, but I've found it's good for exposure, I feel like. So it's been fun making videos.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's like it's funny. Like I know a lot of people don't like Gary Vee or whatever, but I remember watching this video one time and this guy was like basically he ran like a consulting firm or whatever and was like I'm trying to get this business to go along with, you know, social media marketing or whatever. And Gary Vee's like, they need to be on TikTok. Like, absolutely. Like, what are you doing? He's like, oh yeah, well the business, like they're kind of old fashioned. He's like, you know, they're leaving money on the table. Period. Like next business. So
not a single one of my YouTube videos has gotten 1,000 views. I have 2,000 YouTube subscribers, which that's because I make long form content and I don't make a lot of clickbaity things. And there's I don't make great content, so it's not. That's probably why. But my TikTok, my second video, sorry, already has 1,000 views on it, and it's just a random little video, and I don't know what's going on with that. So I agree with Gary Vee. I've been leaving a lot of money on the table by not growing my exposure on TikTok. I've also been doing YouTube shorts recently, so I've been starting to do. And TikTok is great because I can make my video on TikTok, port it over to YouTube, and just directly load it up there. And YouTube shorts have been going well too. So I've been doing a little bit of that. So if anyone, all 30 of you guys are watching here, if you're on TikTok, go find me on TikTok. I have been loading. I'm going to load another video, a PSA 1 video coming here soon. I have some great PSA 1 videos coming out where I'm going to be smashing failed PSA attempts at ones and slabs in various different ways and putting it on TikTok and then re-slabbing them to try to get ones. So smashing a slab with a baseball bat, dropping a slab from a roof, running over a slab, all these different versions of destroying slabs we have. So go find me on TikTok. But I actually, Legend of Luke said something in the chat that I have pulled up here that I wanted to bring up about the new generation. That one thing that does bring me hope, if they were to take away alternate arts, is if they brought back the crystal type again or gave us some sort of a throwback, nostalgic, like crystal sort of, because the whole terrestrial thing where they have like big crystal hats on. I feel like that would be a really cool, like that would get people to be excited, even if it wasn't like alternate arts for at least one set, then they'd be like, all right, give us our alternates back. But what do you think about the possibility of?
I think that's exciting to like the 3,000 people that watch every 3-hour Pokemon Live, Pokemon Knowledge, Pokeflips, Dan, Pokenomic. It's exciting to those people.
True.
95% of the people buying modern Pokemon probably don't even know what the fuck a Crystal Nidoking is. You know what I'm saying?
But if they gave it a really cool like shatter hollow, so they always do a new different type of hollow pattern too. I speculate that the new hollow pattern type is going to be a shatter hollow type because it has like that crystal kind of crystalline design, and they haven't done that holographic type yet in Pokemon. And so I hope that they move on to something like that as a normal hollow type, but they could do something really, really cool. And I'm not saying make it like an old school crystal type, but they can make it literally look like a crystal card, like super cool. Like
they could
really,
they could even take like the old arts, like they could take the old crystal arts and do like what you're saying, but make it a full art. Yeah, like the same way they did the
Pikachu.
The Pikachu. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, dude, definitely. That's what I mean. Like that kind of thing could be really cool. I'm not saying like recreate, just do evolutions and make another crystal set or something, another Skyridge, because literally nobody knows what Skyridge is. Even most of these people in the hobby probably still don't know what Skyridge is, unless you're here watching this live. By the way, if you're here by now, thank you so much for being here and watching. You've gone this far into the live, an hour and 45 minutes. You're a real one. Please like and sub to the channel if you haven't already, and go like and sub to my other co-host, Retrospecs, right there on whatever side he is there. And then also the one that left us, Flex Gods, he has more subscribers than both of us combined ×2. So I'm sure you're already subbed to him, but go sub to all of us. We appreciate that. And definitely go sub to me on TikTok, because that's where all my focus has been lately.
I've been hitting kind of like I don't know. I feel like I've been hitting kind of a brick wall with like YouTube lately, because if I'm going to make content, like I don't want to just make something to just like hear myself talk. I want to like provide value or help people or whatever, but I don't want to like flex and sound like a dick. And I also don't want to like give people free like plays or whatever either. So it's tough, man. Like it's fun. And I like having conversations with people and everything. Like having a conversation is fun to me, but it's just tough to find, like you said, like you're doing a lot of like stuff that's actually entertaining. And I feel like the only thing I really have to offer is like doing impressions or something like that. You know what I mean? Like being funny or whatever, as far as like entertainment value goes.
You're not the type of YouTuber that focuses on the cycles of like what's going in popularity, and neither am I really.
Yeah, but like it does frustrate me sometimes. Like, and everybody has their opinion, and I'm not saying like I'm right all the time or anybody else is wrong or whatever, but like it is frustrating sometimes when you watch these people that make that like everybody looks up to as like a financial or a market type. And it's like these dudes aren't flipping, and these dudes are out here telling you to send Charizard DPC promos at $100. And it's like, you guys have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, because you probably sent like 100 cards to PSA this year. Like, yeah, man, it's tough to see that, because it's like, I know people are listening to this and thinking it's good advice, and then like getting wrecked, and then like being resentful because they're like, oh, well, I thought this was a good product, or I thought this was a good play. It's like, well, yeah, it could have been a good play. You just went about it wrong. It's the same thing with like the difference between a CGC 9.5 and a 10. You know, it's like you sent it to the wrong company. It's not the card's fault. It's your fault, because you put it in the wrong slab and you got the wrong grade. Like, and that can come from like listening to people's bad advice or whatever. So it's tough to see that. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's hard, but a lot of people seem to be figuring it out and kind of like finding their own way. And experience is really the best teacher. So if you're going to be in this for like the long term and you're making mistakes, like hopefully you're learning from them, you know, and you're getting better, and you're not going to do the same thing. And maybe you start by listening to a lot of people on YouTube or whatever, and then you kind of see like, hey, maybe this wasn't as right as I thought it was, or whatever, and come up with your own opinions and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, man, it's I don't know, it's tough, because it was easy too, like when everything was going up, like, oh, everything, you know, buy this, whatever. Now, like, it actually takes like work and effort to make money. And I think it's okay, or to make money like on a consistent, scalable, like business level. Like anybody can collect a net zero or close to a net zero. You know, buy a card for $5, sell it for 10, and then keep another $5 card for free, and then just constantly build your collect. Like anybody can do that. But to like really grind out a consistent business, which like a lot of people I think thought that they were gonna do during the hype, it's just like, dude, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and people just don't want to put that in. And so when people say things like, I can't believe people are buying special delivery Charizard for this, it's like, dude, this is a hobby for most people. This is not, when people get off work, you know, and put their kids to bed or whatever, they're not hopping on to engage with Pokemon to put their brain to work and to stress themselves out over making the best purchase and grading the card and buying it. Like, they don't have time for that. They just want to come and have fun. You know what I mean? And people need to understand that this is a hobby for people. Not everybody wants to put as much time and effort. Not everybody wants to hop on E4. Not everybody wants to watch every old SM Pratt video. Not everybody knows who Gem It Pokemon is. Like, it, you know what I mean? Very few people know any of that shit. A majority of the people engaging in this don't know that shit. They just want to have fun. They just want to come and have a good time. And that might look like a dumb purchase to you, but to 95 to 99% of the market, that's how they're interacting with this hobby. They're just having fun. You know, it looks like a dumb purchase to a farmer when you buy a loaf of bread from the store. Oh, look at this idiot buying bread. Do you mill your own grain? No, you don't. But no one's walking around like, yeah, you idiot. Like, you don't grow your own produce. Like, how stupid is that? Oh, you bought a graded card for a premium? Like, how stupid are you? You're providing a service. Like, it's just silly to me, man. Like, I don't know.
As someone who does interact with a lot of the public-facing new people to the hobby, my platform, whatnot, it puts me in front of a lot of people who just for the first time, without ever hearing about me, come to my stream and they end up in my channel and they end up buying cards from me or whatever. It is very much, like you said, just a hobby for a lot of people, and it's not something they know about. Like, a lot of it is just something they spend 20, 30 bucks extra dollars at the end of a month or whatever, just interacting with something they like. I would agree with that sentiment. I will also agree with the sentiment that there is too much people on YouTube telling all these like great plays that are like no-brainers. Every time I hear someone say no-brainer, guaranteed, anything like that, my eyes roll a little bit farther back in my head. So it is one of those things that I think I could scream at the top of my lungs and people won't listen, but it's something that we've seen happen over and over again. But
part of it too is like, a no-brainer play to you and to me might not be a no-brainer play to like because like you might have someone might walk up to you with like a minty alt art and be like, oh, I just pulled this from a pack. Like, should I sell this for 100 or grade it and sell it for 1,000? And that's an actual question someone will ask you. You know what I mean? Like, to us, it is a no-brainer. It's like, dude, what are you doing? It's a modern chase. Like, put it in a slab. It's gonna 10. 8 out of 10 cards, 10. Like, of course, grade that. Like, what do you even
grading is
like,
really
it is a
difficult
no-brainer
for some people to wrap their head around. You know what I mean? Like the actual act of grading, like sending the card, doing the thing, and like making your account. It's just something they just would never do. They'd rather have someone else do it for them, or they're just not going to do it, or they just sell it raw. And so, like, there is a lot. I think there's a lot that is still that's like, we think as being involved with the hobby, it's like, this is so obvious. Like, why isn't everyone doing this? But like, there's a lot of people who probably bought the Charizard UPCs who just would have wanted to grade it, but just didn't because they didn't have an account, didn't want to do it, didn't want to set it up. The same logic for why I don't go and buy on Buy all the time. It's like, I just haven't gone and done it yet, which I should. Like, and these people should go grade, right? So just like, it's just this logic doesn't necessarily, we all are in our own lanes to a certain extent. We get caught in these somewhat traps, and that's why it's good to listen to these podcasts sometimes and kind of reevaluate and have other people sort of talking about what they're doing. And that's probably why we like these market talks, is because we kind of get to reevaluate our plays and be like, well, I made this play that I thought was super obvious, but it wasn't that obvious. Or maybe you did make a play and you want to share it and be like, hey, this is super obvious. It should be pretty easy to copy, and you want to share that with the world. But like, it's nice to have these conversations. So it is always very cathartic for me to really sit down and have these long talks with you and Flex and everyone else in the hobby, honestly. And even if, Pokemon does kind of let up a little bit, the steam, it's honestly been going for so strongly for so long, it could let off a little bit of steam and be okay. And so, like, maybe a little cool down with the Scarlet and Violet will give people a chance to recharge a little bit, and maybe then come back reinvigorated when they do forget about the alternate arts again, and then be like excited. Because, like, let's be real, it's gotten a little stale. I don't think it's gotten stale for everyone. I still am very involved, and I'm still very engaged, and I still love the hobby, but it's not what it was a year ago. It's different in a lot of ways. Some people would say it was much worse a year ago. I would argue that I was having more fun a year ago. 2 years ago, that's different. When it was really like bad, you couldn't get product, and people were just angry, rah rah rah, on the internet and all this stuff.
But were you having more fun because you had product in the middle of the hype?
No, like, because a year ago, everyone still had product. 2 years ago, I was selling product. I had product during the hype. I don't want to go as far as to say I was having a good time at that time, even though I made more money at that time because I did have a distributor. I don't want to say that because that wouldn't be truthful. That would rub people the wrong way. And even me, tongue in cheek and everything, I don't want to go back and say that I had a good time during that time. Because even though I made a ton of money during that time because I had a distributor, I was selling Hidden Fates. I remember selling Champion's Path for like almost $150 ETB. I sold a case of Champion's Path for like $900, I feel like. And that was like directly picked up from the distributor, sold immediately. And the distributor was like, $30 ETB basically, or maybe less. I forget what it was at the time, 34, I think. But so yeah, that was printing money. But I'm not going to sit here and say I liked that time, because I liked making money during that time. But at the same time, during that time, horrible things were happening. Horrible things were happening. The market was ripping, though. Like, the money was being printed into the market. The government was like, here, everyone, take this money every month, hella extra money. I'm not trying to make this political, or not trying to say that's why the market ripped off. Logan Paul was making the videos, and that popped off at that time. Like, it was literally the perfect storm. We were all inside, trapped in nostalgia. So I don't want to say that I want to go back to that, because I don't think that was a good time in the hobby. But flash forward about a year from that time, like, where we were still kind of in that rip-roaring time, but product was readily available. I'm thinking after the Fusion Strike dump, after the dump of all that product on the market with Brilliant Stars that came out at the same time after Celebrations, there was plentiful available product. That was when UPCs, the Celebrations, dipped to $175 a box. I remember this shit. I remember this like it's a fucking calendar, excuse my French, because I was living it. So I remember this, and I loved that time, the time when UPCs were dipping and product was really available. The hobby was still rip roaring, but we didn't have this staleness going on. Now it does feel a little bit different than then. It feels like products readily available. We're getting some of the best arts that we're ever getting, but people just, they don't care. They're kind of done with it. People cared when Moonbrown was ripping off because they're like, whoa, 1,500 for a modern card? That's kind of cool. I don't have Moonbrown, but maybe I'll get one and grade it and sell it. But the minute they stopped, it went back down to 1,000. People don't care about it anymore. No one's talking about Moonbrown except for us right now. Like, people haven't talked about it since it was $1,000. And so, like, it's people only care about it when it helps their pocketbook. Same thing with the UPC Charizards. When everyone was poised to make $1 million on their pre-orders, hey, guess what? I used all my different IPs. I refreshed the Pokemon Center.
Can I just say, I said on Dan's podcast, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I didn't say you're going to make a shit ton of money on this. It was a no-brainer because you could not lose with 16 packs, dice, deck sleeves, a play mat, and 3 Charizard promos. That's why. It was for the entry level, like for a person that's like not making plays all the time. It's like, you have to be an idiot to lose money on this because you just pull the items out of the box, take pictures of them, list them on eBay, and they sell for more than what you bought the box for. That's it. Like, I wasn't trying to.
I'm not criticizing that. I'm talking about making like the grading play. Like, hey, PK, love you, love your hair, hope you win. But you were awesome with how transparent you were with how many you bought and sold in your play with the Charizard UPC, and you're not usually that transparent with your plays. And so I don't think that had anything to do with why this play didn't necessarily, and maybe it worked out for you. So like, if you're watching this and I'm wrong and that play super worked out and you're like, dude, I still made tons of money on that. But from my understanding, I don't think that PK made a lot of money on his play with like the 14 whatever Charizards he sent off at like $100 to try to be first to market. I don't think there's any way anyone made money on those, to be honest, except for maybe the very first couple of sales. And if it was at like $50, maybe you had a chance at making some money if you got all 10s or something. So like, I think that it's one thing to be transparent and everything about your plays, but like, it's another thing that everyone is saying, and it's not just PK either. Everyone else is saying that, and not you. You weren't saying that either. I don't mean when I was joking when I was saying like the UPCs couldn't lose it, but in the beginning.
No, I just wanted to own it because I did say that, but like I just wanted to be like, look, like, but as far as like the PK thing goes, like I think it's mainly because like the 1,400, and I think, and not to sound like condescending or whatever, but I think like if you're not making plays constantly and like you're not really up on the modern market, you might still be living a little bit in the past, which was where like the first sale goes for like $800 on the chase card and then it just eats absolute doo-doo. And
I don't think he was irrational to think that though. I personally do, but I don't think from based on what everyone else is saying and based on the sentiment at the time and also what the special delivery Charizards were selling for at the time, I don't think that was an irrational play. I didn't make that play. I made the $30 play. I sent the few that I had at $30.
I don't either, but the reason I would err on the side of the more conservative sending it like 18 or 15 is because I've seen what's happened to shiny Charizard VMAX, 20 different cards from
first to market, bro. You can't send it 15 to 18 and be first to market. And that was the only play that people were talking about. They weren't.
But that's what I'm saying is like that's what I'm saying is like if you look back on all these other ultra modern obvious chase cards, like Shining Fates has been out for 2+ years now, reprinted to the absolute ground, and Shiny Charizard VMAX still sells for $2 to $250.
But it hasn't always been $2 to $250, dude. It was 900. It was 1,000. I know, over 1,000. When you were sending it, you were sending that card.
I know, but listen. The point I'm making is that for me, if I know that I'm in the cards for $40 a piece, I'm just gonna send them at 15. I'm not even gonna mess with the 100. Like I'm not tying up that much money because I know by the time I get that back, based on Shiny Charizard VMAX, Special Delivery Charizard, Celebrations Holos in Japanese
That's
and
not
English.
the play, though. That's not the
It is
play,
the play.
though. That's not the
It is the
point.
play.
No,
It's
no,
free
nobody
money.
was saying that you should send them snail mail, bro. Nobody.
Dude, it's not. That's what I'm saying though. Is if you don't send all the time, you are still in the mindset the PSA takes a year to get your cards back. They don't, dude. It's like 2 to 3 months on bulk.
No.
And
I had my bulk submission crack in 1 month. And yes, it comes back in 1 month, but most bulk submissions do not. And if you're making a play to be first to market, and if you're not sending at the $50, $100 tier, you're not making a play to be first to market.
You don't need to be first. That's what I'm saying is like, look,
but with
okay,
that card you did. And that was
don't.
Well,
No,
with that,
you don't.
in the long run, maybe not. Maybe not at 15, you don't have to, because I agree with you on that take. I would send all of mine at 30 probably, given the fact if they didn't get sent to oblivion before that. Like, it would have been sent at 30. That would have been still a play to be made if it wasn't burned to the ground by people sending thousands at the 100 and having to recoup. But what my point is I don't think that was an irrational play at the time. I was out here screaming about why I thought it was the wrong play, but I didn't think it was a rational play. I didn't think it was an irrational play.
I don't think it's irrational to chase the idea of the first to market sale. But what I'm saying is the reason that I didn't do that and I wasn't like, you have to send it at 100 is because I don't buy the race to the bottom thing, in the sense that by the time 15s come back, there's no way you don't still double on that card in a 10. Whereas if you send it at $100 and now it's like, what, 300 to 400, like you're barely doubling. And in another week, the people that send it 100 and are getting stuff back are going to get wrecked. But the people that sent it 15, you're chilling, you're big chilling. And you got to open all the packs for free. You can sell the
pick
dice
and choose, and you don't care. Yes, that is the play. Now in hindsight, that is easily the play. Like, it's easy to say that. That's not the play that people were talking about. That is not.
That's not the play. That's not the play the YouTubers were talking about.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean by people. Obviously, that's kind of what I mean by people. I'm sorry. I don't mean like I don't think general like Sally and Jack are going to be like talking about, oh, we're going to go and, grade these cards. That's like a YouTuber Pokemon thing. So like, that's kind of what we do. We speculate on that. We make these predictions. We like talk about it, right? My point though, is this did not act how the market thought it would. And everyone's trying to act like they're not surprised about it. Everyone's trying to pretend like they're not surprised. I think this is crazy that this worked out like this. Actually, I don't think it's crazy. I can see why it did. And now putting the pieces, it's like every other one should have worked out like this too. But the fact that it didn't, it seems to be a little bit of a turning point in some regard. I mean, I think that people need to be punished.
Not a turning point. You guys are so...
It's a turning point in the sense that people who did this aren't going to do it again.
Got burned because they got greedy and they sent at $100 and they tied $100 worth of premium, worth of their profit up in the card. Dude, I'm still sending Pokemon Go Mewtwo Hyper Rare at 15 because the time I get that shit back, no one's going to be talking about Pokemon Go, and I promise you I will still double my money on that card. Lugia V-Star, same thing. Hyper Rare, sending it all day long. $25, $30 on buy, 15 grading. I'm in for 40, 45. I promise you that'll be an $80, $90 card by the time I get that back. That is the play. That's the play. Not, oh my God, let me buy this card for $25, pay $100 to get it graded so that I can squeeze $200 out of it. Like, that's not the play. Like, that's a stupid play.
Thank you. Yes, I don't disagree with that. But that's just not what people were talking about with first to market, though.
I will admit, I am surprised that they came down this much. I thought with how crappy the quality was and how OC everything was, that they would be more expensive in PSA 10. I really did. But I will say this, and I'm doubling down. After the second or third wave or whatever the UPCs come out, I would not be surprised if those slabs bottomed and then pulled a Moonbreon and headed on the Dogecoin rocket ship to the moon, because I do not believe that there are enough of those cards in PSA 10 to satiate the demand of everybody that wants those cards in PSA 10. I don't think so. I could be wrong.
So
but
we're
I
making
would not
we're talking about two different things. I think Dan's right about this. That's why we're disagreeing when we agree.
Yeah,
because I think we agree on that aspect. Yeah, I just thought it was funny because I was just mentioning our friend PK, and I think he's going to get a lot of heat for being so public about that play that he so publicly probably lost on. But I personally don't think that he deserves the heat that he gets for it. If he does, he probably won't get heat because I mean everyone makes mistakes, right? But
if he's
it was a
getting
rational
10s,
decision at the time, I think.
yeah, I mean, if he's hitting 10s, like I think he still is gonna be making some pretty good money. Probably not as much as he thought he was going to, or a lot of people thought that he was going to. I did think that they were going to be selling for like $600 to $800, like the first few sales. I did think that they'd be selling to $600 to $800. So I am kind of surprised, but they're at $300 to $400. But like,
people need to. Okay, so what I meant by a turning point in this,
but I will not stand for Dan Ketchumall Collectibles saying stuff like people need to get punished. The market's been too easy.
I was
will
about
not
to say
stand
that,
for that.
No, I was about to say that. So Dan, thank you for saying that. But I personally am about to say that people needed to be punished for this so that they learned their lesson. And so they don't go and try to make every single stupid thing that they think as a play to like make millions of dollars on, so that they can then maybe leave it to the professionals who actually know what they're doing for it. And so you heard it here, folks. I want people to get punished so that then the real people who know what they're doing, i.e.
leave it to the professionals. Stay off by
super
dangerous, tons of scams. Leave it to the Yeah, I can agree. I can agree with that.
No. In all seriousness, no. I don't think that people need to be punished because I want them to leave the hobby and I want to be the only one doing it. I think that people needed to be punished in a certain regard so that they don't think that they can just literally do anything and never get punished. That's all. I don't want people to be homeless on the streets for it or anything, but I don't want people to leave the hobby for it either. Like, I don't want people to have sold all of their vintage like booster box collection to buy all special delivery or all these Charizard UPCs, and now they're all selling for less than what they pre-ordered them for. Like, I hate that. But it's just like, I think people need to sometimes learn that you can't just make the most obvious play in the entire world and then print, because like sometimes it works, but sometimes it doesn't. And this is one of those cases it didn't.
But if you don't I do see what you're saying, but you have to give people like, you have to start with underhand wiffle ball pitches. Like, you can't just go to the 95-mile-an-hour curveball. Like, you got to give somebody that, or start with the T-ball or whatever. Like, if people don't have all the knowledge and information and experience, sometimes like there needs to be like a few obvious, easy little things so that people can kind of like understand how to make plays, I guess. You know what I don't think that getting to target first and flipping an ETB during the hype for twice the price, that I don't think teaches you any sort of like, that doesn't teach you any skills. I think that buying a product for MSRP, breaking it down and turning a profit on it, I think that teaches you good skills. So I don't think people deserve to. Should they be making $10,000 on that product? Maybe not. But should somebody be able to take $125 Charizard UPC with like 3 crazy looking promos and turn it into $200 worth of value? I think that's fair.
I like that take a lot more than any other take that I've heard on the internet about the UPC, trying to turn the $120 into $175 to $200, because most people were trying to turn the $120 into like $500, $600, because they grade and flip and whatever it is, and then hit something great in the packs and then grade and flip that. So like, I personally think that's a better take on it. And my business model, I'm not super rich and I'm not super successful, but I run a successful Pokemon business, is based on 20 to 30 profit, 20 to 30 percent profit margins. It's not 100, 200, 300%. Like I'm not out here like surviving off of Moonbryons or whatever, but like it's those, you know, selling a lot of modern and doing it over and over and making it 20%, 30%, you know. That's where the margins are made. And so I like that, honestly, that take more, but that's just not the take that anyone's making. Literally, everyone's like, all right, I know that the Pokemon Center only allows you to do 2 pre-orders before they reroute and cancel your order. So I got my aunt's cousin's brother-in-law and their computer. They have a separate IP address in a different county with a different phone number. I got them to get a gift card at Target. So then they loaded up $300 on the gift card so I could buy it on the gift card and they wouldn't track it back. We then bought a P.O. box in the town next door so then I could ship to the P.O. box. So I got 2 orders from there, from that Target. And then I got 2 orders from the Pokemon Center getting shipped to the town next door over. I heard that kind of I mean, this is being exaggerated, obviously. That's not really. But people were jumping through the hoops just to get their extra 2 pre-orders for like all kinds of stuff. And people do it for the special delivery Charizard. And the people who do it and succeed are oftentimes said, oh, well, that's an obvious play everyone should have been making. Those guys with their bots, they're the worst. That guy made $1 million. But then the people who do it and don't succeed, there's suddenly like this case study for people to talk about on the internet and be like, oh, well, you know, it was such a dumb play anyway. It's kind of obvious it didn't work out. It's like, it's just, I mean, I just find it kind of fun to sit here and talk about it. Look, we haven't talked in a month. This is my outlet to talk about this stuff. I've been watching Pokemon YouTube implode on itself. I had to go through the signature market after that stupid convention that we went to. That was a great convention, by the way.
Don't wipe it, because the artist
signature thing first. That was a drag. Like, what a drag.
Jesus Christ. It's
then,
you know what it always comes back to is people policing other people's personal business and what they choose to do in their personal lives with their hobbies. And that is the weirdest shit. Like, that is the weirdest shit. Like, who cares what somebody else does with their Pokemon or cardboard? Like, that is so, and it's always that, dude. It's always that. Every time you see it, oh, I'm calling out this YouTuber because she made a video and she just wants to sell packs. She doesn't even really know who the Pokemon. It's like, you're so, like, dude, it's such a waste of time. Like, you're such a weirdo for doing that kind of shit. Like,
yeah. By the way, I hit 2,000 as well. Speaking of weirdos for doing weird stuff, I hit 2,000. And if anyone's here watching, we have a crazy, you are going to literally love our 2,000 subscriber video. I haven't told a soul. There's one person, 2 people who know what we're doing, and Retro isn't one of them. And it is going to be the most ridiculous. Like, if you thought my 1,000 subscriber video was crazy, which I thought that was a pretty funny video, we dressed up like Palpatine and did a whole bunch of stuff. The 2,000 is going to be even better. So get ready for a viral video, the first one ever. I mean, knock on wood, right? But I expect the 2,000 video to hit. So I will say I have some big things planned for the channel. But yeah, in the last month, I had to sit through the signature garbage. I just hit the Moonbryon garbage where I was just buying them up and like having to sit there and like wait. And so like there's that. And now the whole like Crown Zenith thing. Like, I don't have a distributor right now because my distributor has had some medical issues, and so we haven't been communicating as regularly. So I don't know what's going on with like down the pipeline like I usually do. I typically have like a lot of inside information that I try to share with you guys and bring to the table. I've had no inside information for the last like month basically. So I'm kind of in the dark just like everyone else is. So I've been listening to the Crown Zenith thing, and I'm just kind of like, what's going on with this? And then like the Silver Tempest dropped, and then like it's just a mid set, and it's just like we thought it would be. It's not
Pokemon YouTube goes on like a cycle. It's like a quarterly cycle. It's like the first month, it's like new set, what are we excited about? Second month is like, what are we all pissed off about and what's everybody going to bitch and complain about? Month 3 is everybody's having a 2.5, 3 hour long podcast talking about what have we learned in the hobby over the past 4 years, and let's all talk about our nuance. It's over and over. Yeah, like it's so funny, dude. Every 3 months,
the cycles are fantastic. Yeah.
Like,
so what's the cycle going to be next time then?
It's nice because there's never a dull moment, but a lot of it, unfortunately, is like negativity or just like bitching and complaining. You know what I mean? Like, it just.
Dude, I gotta open a hit. This box, I opened this box on my stream earlier, and the fact that these packs can be weighed now, I can't ever sell a booster box and not open it on screen anymore, just because of this garbage. The fact that it can be weighed, so I gotta hit something.
What is that, like a halucha or something?
This is some hollow. I don't know. I'm looking for something full art and shiny is what I'm looking for here. But I mean, I am hopefully optimistic about the future. About Pokemon.
I'm super optimistic about the future, man. Like things have been going good. I think
how do I open these?
If you make eBay money, eBay will make you money. Like cards are selling, man. Cards are selling, so
yeah, we have actually because Whatnot. So I will say Whatnot's been a lot slower. Like, I don't know if there's something. Chat, do you guys go on Whatnot much? If you're not just my Whatnot, but just Whatnot in general, because I know some of you guys are probably here for my Whatnot. If you do go on Whatnot much, I want to know what you think, because I personally do not go on Whatnot besides streaming on it. I don't spend a lot of time. I used to, like back in the heyday, like when I had a lot more friends that streamed. A lot of my friends who stream, they don't stream anymore. A lot of the streamers that I liked have since either went back to their regular careers, or they've stopped streaming, or they've become very irregular. So I don't really spend a lot of time on Whatnot anymore. But it does feel like the app has sort of been slowing down a little bit. So I've moved a lot more to eBay, and I've been doing a lot more selling on eBay than I've ever done before. And I'll say I like eBay, but I hate the fees. I never realized how much lower the fees were on almost every other platform. Like eBay specifically, the fees on eBay are like 5 to 7% higher. So like I actually can sell things for a cheaper price on my Whatnot than I can on eBay. And so like when given the opportunity, I would rather sell on Whatnot. But I've been going to eBay because Whatnot's just been so diluted lately. There's so many streams. There's basically 3 or 4 streams. And here, can I take this for a moment and use it as a ranting session against what's happening on Whatnot right now? Because I do feel like there's something that's being pushed that I really don't like seeing. There's a bunch of streamers on the app. Most of these streamers have less than 10 people in their streams. Like if you go on the app right now, there's gonna be like 69 different people, and there's gonna be probably less than 10 people in about 60 of those streams. In 9 of those streams, there's going to be between 10 and 50. And in 1 or 2 of them, there's going to be like 100 or 200 or 300. Whatnot just started offering the ability to pay to promote your stream to go to the top of the chart. And so they never did this before. They only did it with certain partnered streamers. They would do it, and they would promote streams if they thought you had a cool stream. It was very much so they would promote the streams that they liked. It was like the same people every time, and those are the ones that grew. And there was a lot of speculation that there was partnership or people in cahoots or doing a lot of shady things to make that happen. I know for a fact that the algorithm is a weird thing, so I don't pretend like I know how it works. But recently, they just dropped the ability to be able to pay to promote your stream and go more to the top. So that is just even worse. That is even worse for the smaller streamers who aren't going to pay for that play. And it's going even better for the big streamers who are just already with a huge outlet for, things. They're going to just always pay to make sure they stay on top. Whereas for the lower tier streamers like myself, who are, I'm a bigger streamer, but I'm not a really big streamer. I have over 10,000 followers, but it's not big by any means. There are people with 30, 40,000 followers on there. So like, for those streamers, it's a conscious decision that we're going to have to make to whether or not we want to be able to pay to play. And so then it's going to make even worse. So it goes both ways. Like maybe it'll be a good thing because it'll cull off some of the ones who are the streamers. It'll make a lot of them drop off because they're not paying to play. And so they think, what's the point? Because if I'm not going to be in one of the big dogs, I'll stop streaming. And that will make it so that there's less streamers overall. So then the streamers will do better and the ones that stay. Well, but it does feel a little bit like the best streams or the biggest streams are the ones that are getting pumped already by the app at the expense of a lot of their smaller streamers, which is probably a pretty big revenue source. That who knows what happens with the big streamers? One could drop off at any point. Whereas, if you have a larger base of small, but I'm just sort of venting at this point about it, but I've definitely moved a lot more of my business to eBay. And I will say that I hate the fees on eBay. That being said, I wish I could do more on Whatnot, but it just hasn't been as good lately.
I was gonna make this a video, but like for anybody that's watching, if you want to buy something off of somebody's eBay and they have an eBay store, do not message them, hey, can I buy this from you off eBay? Look at their profile name and search for it on Instagram, Facebook. Like, so I literally put my Instagram and my YouTube in my bio. I get so many messages. Hey, if I buy like 5 slabs, will you do good? It's like, dude, just go to my literal about me. Go to my Instagram, message me. Do not message me on eBay. I don't respond to those messages because if you do, you get it's so yeah, man. Like for buyers, always. I've done this like always look at the name and see if you can find them on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or something first. And if you can, like usually people will at least give you 15-20% off, right? Because that's what fees are going to cost them anyways. And then you're saving on taxes. So like, that's just such an easy way to like save a little bit, just put the extra work in.
Yeah, I always try to, in the background of my photos, have my logo in the background, so you can see like the old card shop in the background, kind of like poking out behind the slab when I'm taking pictures. So to Dan's point, it's a good thing to put in the pictures of somewhere your IG or whatever, which definitely a good idea. Yeah, I've had people reach out to me on eBay, and I have had them say, hey, can I reach out and can I get this for cheaper off of the app? And I say the price is what it is, but I usually will also respond with a picture of the slab again with the background of my IG in it a little bit more pronounced, so that it's not in the message, but it's in a picture and it's of the item, but it's got the IG. And I will say several people have reached out after I've responded with the message, but not with the message of the actual message, but with the picture, with the item again, with the background of the where they reach me, or a little, a note in the background just with the says different handles, YouTube, whatever. So there are definitely ways of doing it. And I haven't got flagged for that so far, but I've only done it like 4 or 5 times because people don't usually reach out like that. So it's funny because you would think people would reach out if you have the same name, same everything. My eBay account's pretty old, and so I actually had a lot of sales on my eBay account before I started my business. So my eBay account is the only account that I have that isn't the same as all my other platforms, basically. So that is one thing that you can't necessarily do for me in particular, is look at my eBay name and then match me. But it's in the background of my slab photos. So like if you know my name and you see the slab photo, you'll probably put 2 and 2 together unless someone's using the those photos or whatever.
Yeah, it's funny too, like what you said about like Whatnot. Like I definitely like it sucks that eBay has high fees, but the one thing I will say is like eBay sells your products, dude. Like it's crazy, and it kind of sucks to hear that like Whatnot is an economy of scale, basically. Like the big streams, which are already making more money anyways, are the ones that can afford to promote to the top. So then they're going to get even more, and so on. It's just an economy of scale. It is what it is. The one thing I will say is niching down, like finding a niche. Like there's a lot of competition probably for like opening modern Pokemon. I imagine there's probably less competition, probably still a decent amount for like White Schwartz, right? Or Dragon Ball Super or something like that. And so like I've been selling a bunch of stuff to this DBZ Whatnot streamer. He only does DBZ, and like his thing's grown. He's not very big. I think he's only like 600 or 700 followers.
That's good for Dragon Ball Z though.
Yeah, and I mean he's grown, and like he sells out on his streams. But again, like no competition. Like who's selling vintage Bandai Cardos cards and Japanese Dragon Ball Hero cards? Like not as many people. I would not suggest watching the 8-hour Berkshire Hathaway shareholders meeting, but there was this one question that this girl asked, and basically Warren Buffett summed it up like skill sets and like talent. You can't inflate away talent. Like the girl's question was like, how do you survive during inflation, or like what companies are going to survive through inflation? And he was like, when you have a moat, like when you have a competitive advantage, when you have something somebody else doesn't have, like when you have knowledge of something or can do something that other people can't do, like you position yourself to just be safer, right? To have better job security. So like you, for instance,
got it.
like
Get good.
no, not even
Get
saying
good.
that, but I'm
Got
saying
it.
like the reason that you have been able to survive is because like you know how to make money in a variety of different ways, like tops, Meji, you know, mid-air. Like there's so many different plays that you have that if one dries out, you can always go to like 10 other plays and still make money off of that. And that's what you have to do to be able to survive as a consistent business. You know what I mean? Not so much
It's
as like
gotten to
just
the point in the podcast where I start saying things like, I really feel for LGSs out there, because I definitely, if it wasn't for my ability to become like
let me get
very,
some water.
very
I'm
like,
listening though.
before I can like, I can change the direction of my business quite easily. I can shift directions. I can go in some, like if my Magi or my tops isn't selling, I can sell more modern. If the modern isn't selling, I can sell more slabs. More slabs aren't selling, I'll go back to modern. I can shift around, go to vintage or grading place. Absolutely. Because I'm a one-man sort of thing. I don't have a lot of staff. I don't have overhead of a LGS. It's times like these, though, and when people say things like that, that I really start feeling for those LGSs who are really feeling the brunt of it out here, too. Because these are the times when even the good LGSs are going to struggle, and even the good, the talented, the ones that should be here are going to go out of business at times. So, like, I hate to see that. And so it's one of these those things where it's bittersweet. So, like, I agree with you. Like, I think it's nice to be able to shift and stuff, but it's a sign that I feel like there's it's not a strong sign is what it is in some regards. And so like, I'm not trying to sit in here and doom and gloom or whatever. I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm leaving the hobby. It's going down. It's all going, even though the title of the, Pokemon is dead. I really don't think the Pokemon's dead, but I definitely see a few signs of weakness, and more than I've seen in the past. And I'm interested in talking about it. That's all.
So when I first I live in the middle of the woods. When I first moved in, I had to dig like a 200-foot trench to get internet to go from like the box basically to my house. And like my internet is my internet is horrible. And
I asked, breed.
Yeah, I remember asking the guy, I was like, is there something I'll do the work. Like if I just have to dig another like 1,000 feet, like, I probably can't do it in a week, but like I'll do it. You know what I mean? If I can get better internet. And basically what he told me was it would cost Comcast or whoever so much money to retrofit or to update and redig and run new lines or whatever, that we'll probably never get Comcast internet. So like we're either going to get like Verizon or Starlink, and that's it out here, right? And when I think about like when I was a kid, I remember going to the Tacoma Mall, and there was a big card shop in the Tacoma Mall, and it had Pokemon and Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! And they hosted tournaments, right? And it was right next to the food court, and there was hundreds of people, and I played in the tournaments as a kid, and that was cool to see, right? And every time I went to the mall with my parents, like I wanted to go to the card shop and look at the cards or what, even if I didn't buy anything, like it was fun. I'm in Washington State. Pokemon is like 2 hours north of me. If Pokemon wanted to build a really nice Pokemon center, or just like even invest in like a big LGS, like they have Mox Boarding House, which is like really famous for Magic and all sorts of stuff. They could create a space that would make it like really cool to like buy, sell, trade. Yeah. But it costs the business money, right? Like, and so it kind of goes back to the internet thing. It's like they could create this really cool space, just like they could give everybody really good internet. And there's tons of paying customers out here that would happily pay twice what we're paying now to get better internet. Just like there's tons of people that probably would love to go to this potential Pokemon center or trading card hub that businesses could make. It costs money to do. and it's a risk that not a lot of people are willing to take. So when you see people like Mason and he's able to like run 2 businesses, but he's telling you like, yeah, I have to lay off staff, I have to do all this stuff. It's like, it's not easy out there. It's not all cake and rainbows. And a lot of the time on YouTube, people make it seem like it's like, oh, everybody's just making so much money on cards, like blah, blah, blah. It's so easy. But when you have a brick and mortar, especially, it's a lot of work. And like you said, you can pivot easier. You can't pivot as easy. Like, and when you're tied in with distributors and a majority of your business model is tied up in like what they got going on and your allocations, you can't just like up and turn on a dime and go, oh, well, I'm done with Pokemon, I'm going to Weiss now. You can do that if you're just flipping cards, you know, or a whatnot streamer or a YouTube person or whatever. So yeah, just agreeing and echoing.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important, chat, to support your local game store, even if they charge a little bit higher prices. I'm not saying you have to buy in quantity from them. I'm not even saying you have to spend any money there, but just not getting mad at them when you see them selling things for higher prices and not being that angry voice on the internet who's like, rah, 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 local game stores would be a lot better if there weren't such scalpers involved. If that would, it's like if people would just lose that mentality about their local game stores. I understand calling someone like me a scalper. Like, I understand that because I legitimately am not a local game store. I'm a dude in his house selling Pokemon cards for more than I sold that I bought them for. I don't have overhead. I don't have employees. I'm not creating a better world for like the gaming community. You can maybe argue that like with my whatnot stream, I have a small community that I built, and maybe that's a cool community. But like, that's not neither here nor there. A local game store legitimately brings to the table, it brings a safe place for teenagers to go and be. Teenagers from all walks of life can go to a local game store and hang out. After school programs don't exist in some areas. There's nothing better than a local game store instead of an after school program, in my opinion, because you're both building social skills by interacting with your peers. And at least in my experience growing up on local game stores, I have this very rose colored, like romanticized, like version of local game stores in my head that operates still to this day. Even walking into a local game store, looking around, being like, I'm not buying a damn thing from here because I have my own distribution. Like, why am I going to? But I'm also not out here mad that they can get more than I can at my store and charge higher prices. I'm not out here on the internet boards being like, yeah, these local game stores are just straight scamming. Like, you can buy from me for a little cheaper and you'd be saving money. Like, I'm saying, like, support your local game store, because in the times when this hobby dies, in the times, the dark times, when the economy dips and people aren't spending all their money, the game stores that are there, who are operating because they love the hobby, not because they're making a lot of money. Listen, there are people out there who want to own local game stores, not because they want a lot of money, but because it's a dream that just seems like I don't know, maybe there aren't. Maybe I'm one of those weird people. But I am one of those people who thinks that if it was profitable enough to own a local game store, if I didn't think that owning a local game store was like having a boat and just throwing money into the water and watching it go down the drain, I would have a local game store. Like, I would have had it 15 years ago, like immediately when I was old enough. But the thing is, they don't make a lot of money, and it's not a very profitable business to be in. There are a very short period of times in this hobby where it's profitable for a local game store. And those few periods of time when it's profitable for those local game stores, the community hates them for it. And that has always been my biggest, like, angry, like, it makes me mad to see that online. Like, if you want Trigger the Old Card Shop, I just need to go read, like, Mason's YouTube comments, basically, because the type of shade that gets thrown at both him and all the other LGSs out there for selling for a little higher, even if they don't sell for a little higher, they still get shade. I'm just not here for it. So, like, I just like to say once in a while, support your local game store. They're important. They keep this hobby afloat. They're not doing it because they're making $1 million. They're doing it probably because they love it. Probably because somewhere in their life, a local game store was there for them. That's why I would want to do it, and that's probably why the people would still do it there. And they will die. They will die off, and you will be replaced with Target and Walmart, and that is it. there are places in the Midwest. I grew up in one of those places where we had an LGS in the early 2000s. I don't know if I ever mentioned this. I grew up in Oklahoma. And so, like, I actually spent about 7 years of my life in Oklahoma in the early 2000s at that. That was where I interacted with Pokemon and Magic the most. It was a small town. The only thing we had to do was bowling alley. We had a laser tag rink, laser tag sort of situation in the bowling with the arcade. That was kind of fun. That was what we did on Saturday nights. Friday nights, we had a local game store. We went, my friends and I, we had to land up. We had LAN parties. There was like computers land up. It was a local game store that we went to in the early 2000s when Magic, Pokemon, all these card games were first booming. You know what happened in 2002 and 2003? That game store went out of business. You know why that went out of business? Well, the economy started tanking. The Pokemon games started doing worse. Trading card games in general, the 90s kind of ended. That junk wax era sort of really came and set in. And you started seeing Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, all just sort of lose their stride. Game stores disappeared at that point. Most of you guys probably remember growing up in a town with no local game store. I feel quite lucky to have had that type of experience for a short period of time, for like 4 years during those early 2000s. And so, you know what replaced the local game store where we had to get our cards? Target, Walmart. Actually, we didn't have a Target. I was in Oklahoma. We had Walmart, Supercenter. And so I had to go to Walmart. And so for the longest time, MSRP, Walmart, blisters hanging out there, that was all you could get it. So it died. And it's not because it was a bad era. Like, we look back on it, that era was fantastic. The EX era is so good. It's just, it died because it didn't have the support from the community. It didn't have the local support. It didn't have what it needed to really sustain. And now it took until like the early 2000s, like the late 2000s, early teens, basically, for cards to really start booming again. And it wasn't, I think it was probably for Pokemon, it was 2016. That was when it boomed. It was Pokemon Go. It wasn't even the TCG that kicked Pokemon off. It was a non-TCG related thing. So, and then it just went from there. And so local game stores are important, but they're not very profitable. So it's important to support your local game stores. And like, I don't know how I even got onto this point in the podcast, but like, I'm just shilling LGSs at this point. But like,
no, you're good. You're good. I agree with you though that like the in-person stuff is so much better. Like I feel like I was really hard on a lot of people that I met in Denver, and then I was like, oh, like, you know, I was like way too hard on you, you know, like after seeing a lot of these people in person. And a lot of it is just like they're just like socially inept, or they just don't have like the same social skills, and Pokemon is like kind of a safe space or whatever, and they're just trying to fit in and like have fun and not get made fun of or whatever. But social skills are like a muscle, right? Like you need to work it out. Like you need to put yourself out there. I don't really like the internet card community. You know, like I feel like I'm an asshole. I feel like I'm egotistical and flex. I feel like a lot of other people are egotistical and flex. I feel like no one, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I'm sure there's a lot of people that like don't like me. There's a lot of people that I don't like. But when I met a lot of people in person, I feel like the energy was completely different. You know what I mean? And like, I even had like disagreements with PK or whatever, but in person, like we dapped it up. I said sorry, he said sorry, whatever. And now I feel like we're cool. And like when you, and that's like, you know, a personal relationship type deal, but like the card stuff is so much better in person, hanging out with other people that like doing it, ripping packs, talking about cards, showing each other slabs, showing each other's your collect. Like it's so much better in person than it is online. And if there's no spaces to do that, like to interact in person, like, yeah, man, that's just a shame. That kind of sucks. And LGSs provide that, you know, like collecticons are nice or whatever, but it is nice to be able, like, oh, I need to go get a case of penny sleeves or whatever, go down to like your LGS or whatever, hang out, maybe rip a couple packs. There's some kid in there opening a 3-pack blister. He pulls a full art trainer. He's stoked. There's some old dudes in there that are ripping in, you know, a $1,500 football box and absolutely breaking their lives away on some auto of some kid that's like going to ride the bench for the rest of his career. Like that whole thing is great and fun. And it's important, you know, like, and all this is, like, all the community is just people. Like, all this shit is just people, like people with shared interests. You know, like, there's money and markets and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of people that like the same thing, that like Pokemon, that like Magic, that like Yu-Gi-Oh, TCGs, whatever. And we're all here because we care enough about it to be here, you know, to put effort into it, to do the mental gymnastics, to have market conversations, or speculate on what might happen in the future. And it's important to share that with people in real life, you know what I mean? And build those friendships and connections. And yeah.
And that being said, though, there is a benefit to the internet now that we didn't have in the early 2000s. The social media aspect, while it can be somewhat toxic and somewhat, like, you know, disingenuous, and you get the wrong idea about people and people kind of flex a lot and everything, I do think that it creates a community sort of that wasn't there before, that does add a lot of value and strength to the hobby. Because I personally don't feel like I'm collecting alone, even though beforehand I did feel like I was collecting alone. Maybe that's because I'm on YouTube. I have a lot of friends who I interact with a lot in the hobby, and I know that there's a lot of people who still very much so very singular about their collecting. But I definitely feel like the internet adds a lot of value as far as like community building when it comes to those types of communities. So I will say that there's, like, while I agree with you on a lot of that, like, there's a lot of stuff that, like, in person's way better. I will say that now, with the combination of, like, that community, having that in person and the internet, maybe that's like a good indicator that it has more of a rebound potential or longevity potential. Because, like, before, there wasn't as many interconnected webs and ties. So, like, now I know that if I were to, like, drop out of the hobby, I would directly affect 7 to 10 other people, like, with my interactions on a day-to-day basis, by not being in the hobby anymore. And that is not the case, like, for a lot, wouldn't have been the case early on, or, like, maybe in the early days potentially when things weren't as connected. And I don't even mean direct business relationships, like people I buy from. I just mean, like, people I interact with. Like, we have our podcasts that we do. Like, I interact with people on the Discord every day. Like, there's all kinds of this stuff that I just couldn't just walk away from completely without, like, disappointing some people and myself to a certain extent. So, like, whereas before, like, I've walked away from the hobby many times when I wasn't involved with, like, a community, or involved with, like, you know, sort of a online or more of a interactive community situation. So I will say that the online community adds a lot.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And it creates more like stickiness. Like, it's easier to keep people around, like you said, when you're constantly in a community or whatever. Like, it's I don't know, like, it's crazy, man. Like like my girlfriend or whatever, like my friends, just like, oh man, like, you know, you spend like a lot of time like watching these videos, or like, you know, you're always researching, or like you're always in like a Discord call or whatever. And maybe, like, to some extent it is like a little bit unhealthy or whatever, because you're having too much fun, and a lot of this stuff can get addictive. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I mean, like, these people are my friends. Like, I like cracking jokes, and like, we have all of our, like, you know, dumb little inside jokes, and people posting memes, and people posting GIFs and over dumb nerdy stuff. But like, it's hilarious, and it's a community, and it's your friends. You know what I mean? Like, it's the people that you love and care about. And that's how you plan too, right? Like, that's how you plan to go to Denver Collecticon or Orlando Collecticon or Worlds or whatever. So.
Yeah, and I definitely I would agree with that take. I do want to take a little moment here and highlight a question, though, because I feel like this is something that comes up once in a while, is like the LGS model being a little bit outdated. And I would somewhat argue that trading cards in general are a little bit outdated. It's almost like saying, like, isn't like a bakery that sells just bread, like fresh baked bread, instead of like a grocery store, isn't that a little outdated? Or, like, there are these concept of like small versus big, where I do think that the LGS kind of does get a little bit caught in, where it's like, they've done the same thing forever. It's not really evolving much. I agree with that. I personally think that LGSs, the next evolution of LGSs, I personally would have, because I'm an evil whatnot streamer, I would have thought that it would have been the evolution would go to streaming and online. So, like, all these LGS stores I would have thought would have started YouTube channels and had the ability to open up packs, like especially during the pandemic. If you had product, you gave people the ability to buy that product and interact with it either through an app like Whatnot, like I use, or your own YouTube or your own platform. I thought for sure this would be some sort of like a way for the market to evolve, or these LGSs to, bring on a streamer and start paying one of these 20-something-year-olds to stream for them for 4 hours a day instead of just sitting there behind the counter on their phone texting while they're waiting for someone to come in the door. So I do think that there is room for growth in the LGS department without spilling out all of my ideas and all my beans for my future business endeavors. But yeah, I do think that to a certain extent, cardboard in general is an outdated concept, as well as like, small artisanal, shops and things where you pay a little more for something you can get for less in a bigger situation. But I do think it's something that's still good enough that people want, that even if it's outdated, it'll be a demand, even if it's not like a huge demand. So
the other thing, and it doesn't happen as much in TCGs. I mean, sometimes it'll happen with like, what's it called, like player support or tournament support or whatever. Like they'll hand out promo cards or things for the LGSs to give players. But in sports, the idea of a card shop is a big deal, because that's where you get the best product. So like for people that aren't really familiar with sports product, picture like at Target you buy Silver Tempest, and it's all like the hollows and these and stuff and the cards you need for playability, and you can get that for cheap. But then when you go to the LGS, the Silver Tempest they sell at the LGS is the only way you can get a chance at pulling the altar. And that's how it works in sports, is like
that's a pipe dream.
I know it's a pipe dream, but I'm just saying, like, they
would never support the LGS like that. The company itself would never give that level of support to the LGS, because they're in such cahoots with Walmart and Target, and they have shown, and they will tank the market for Target and Walmart, because they're such big buyers, and they have to.
Yeah, I agree, but like I just wonder, because like Topps, obviously, like Topps and Panini are massive, and there's so much more money in sports than there is in Pokemon. So for them to like put I don't want to say crappy product, but like it is like the blasters that you get from Target and Walmart, like you can't really hit the same kind of pulls that you can out of like hobby boxes, is what they're called. And you'll get packs like Player of the Day packs, which are like basically packs that Topps or Panini will literally give the LGS and say every time someone buys a box, they get one pack of these or whatever. And then those have special cards that you can only get out of those packs. So I'm not saying that Pokemon needs to come up with like 25 different products or whatever, but I'm just saying, like, in sports, they do go out of their way to drive people to buy the, like you were saying, the artisanal product at the card shop compared to like the Target or the Walmart. So, but I agree with you that it probably is a pipe dream, unfortunately. So
I think the matter for them is that they get such good like exposure with Walmart and Target to the general public, and it's just like there as you're checking out, they put it in the check lane. It's such good exposure for them that it's probably worth what they think that the exposure gives them tanking LGSs, because they know that the LGSs will just stick around and just kind of putter through no matter what, because they love it so much. It's a shame, but it's just one of those things that we've seen with Wizards of the Coast, at least, which is Magic the Gathering's producer. And Nintendo, Pokemon, they don't seem to give that much more support to the LGS. Like, they do give some support to LGSs, though. Like, for example, you do get the Pop Series packs now. They brought back Pop Series packs. And for a long time, you could get pre-release cards, or you could get cards exclusively you could get at the LGS. But like they kind of stopped doing that for a while too, and I don't know if that was a pandemic or it's production matters, but they're going back to that with the Pop Series pack. So I think there's a small little bit of resurgence of like support to the LGS, but calling that support to the LGS is just so like it's just the smallest, littlest bit. You can't even really call it support, to be honest.
Yeah, well, and what's funny too is like my buddy was explaining to me how like a lot of the sports product works, and he was saying like I can get these boxes for this really good price out the gate, but I can only get a small amount of them, right? And then everybody wants it out the gate, and so they'll come in and I'll sell out. But then when I want to restock, I have to pay like $25 more a box, but I can get as much as I want. And I asked him like what the elasticity was, basically like like on the second wave, are boxes still selling? And he was like, no, not at all. It's not like Pokemon to where people are still hungry for the second wave of sports product like they would be in Pokemon. They want it out the gate. They want the fresh cards. They want them straight to PSA. And then anybody buying after that is either like auto hunting or like trying to complete sets or something like that. You know what I mean? But as far as
Different
like
situation then, yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, it's not really even maybe support. It's just like not completely boning them up. Yeah, but I mean, it would just be cool. Even like a UPC, or like they could even like one product a year, make a sick product that you can like only get at LGSs or specialties. You know what I mean? Like that would.
Magic the Gathering did that. Retro. They just did that. They made Magic the Gathering $1,000 booster box just recently, and you had to be a WP in store to buy it.
No.
So even if I wanted to, even if I was a store like Mason's store who wanted to buy that and sell it in their store, I couldn't because I wasn't a WP in store. Well, actually, no, he could buy it on the secondary market and sell it, but he couldn't get it directly from them. And if you were a WP in store, the type of support that they gave you, they allowed you to buy it for $1,000 probably. I mean, probably they allowed you to pay that money and buy it from them instead of the secondary market. And then, you know what else they gave to you? They gave you one single booster pack from that box as a thank you for all your hard work and all of your struggles through the years, because you're special. So they gave you one pack of promos that you can't even use to sell in your store. And then they gave you the ability to buy those cards at full price. Oh, I'm sorry. It was four packs. Sorry. Big Kells is right. It's 4 packs, not 1 pack, but it's one box. Because inside the box, it comes in 4 packs. So they gave you one. And then they gave you the ability to sell that overpriced garbage at your store and push that on to your customers. That's the type of support Wizards of the Coast gives their stores. And so Pokemon, they give maybe about the same level of support. They hold the slap, the backhand slap. They hold that back until a couple seconds afterwards. That's all. They give you the product and then they slap you. Whereas Magic the Gathering just gives you a backhand right off the way.
Yeah, it's tough. Like I'm not super into the playability, so like maybe I'm missing out on like a bunch of like playability or tournament events and stuff like that. But it just felt like when, like I said, and maybe it's grass is greener type of thing, but I feel like when I was a kid, I don't really know like which card is in which set. Like, so I don't know like what hole, but I like the Smear Goal a lot. That's probably my favorite, or the Slow King.
This is my favorite Neo set. Someone asked in the chat, so I just happen to have a couple of heavy packs next to me. We're ripping these in Orlando, baby.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lugia or bust, baby.
But yeah. Last thing I'll say is just like, I just wish there was like an event targeted at collectors or just collecting, or just the secondary that wasn't just like a tournament thing, other than like, I mean, I guess Worlds is like a tournament thing, but yeah, like I don't know, man. Like even if something as small as like a movie theater promo, or like, dude, they could do there's all sorts of release something with a video game or a card with like a toy, or like, dude, I don't know, like partner with Ben and Jerry's or something, and then like there's an alchemy card every time you get this specific. I don't like something, dude. Like there's nothing out there to me that screams like Pokemon is creating like an environment. Like they're good at advertising and they're good at the products that they release, but they're not like creating an environment. Most of the communities and environments that are being created are being done by like third-party people, you know, hosting trade nights or collecticons or things like that. It's not the Pokemon company saying like, this is a Pokemon sponsored event. But now that I think about it, like that kind of happens in a lot of hobbies, because I know like Pat Flynn's hella into like Legos, and he says that like most of the Lego conventions are done by like, you know, people, but Lego, at least Lego like supports. I don't know. I'm just going on a rant at this point, but yeah.
What's your favorite Neo set, Retro? You don't talk about Neo sets as much.
I don't. That's what I'm saying is like I don't really know. Like I'm horrible at like these cards are in this set and these cards are in that set.
Smeargle is in Neo Discovery.
Okay, I think I like.
One, is that the one you're talking about?
I like Smeargle. I think my favorite hollows from Neo are Smeargle, Politoed, and Slowking. So
you got Neo Genesis and Neo Discovery. Those are your two favorites for the hollows, at least.
Okay.
Slowking's cool.
I like them better in Japanese though.
This set has a lot of I hate first edition cards, but my favorite Neo and my favorite set in the entire hobby, it goes back and forth between either EX Unseen Forces, Hidden Fates, and if I'm really feeling nostalgic, it's Neo first edition Genesis. Just because like I was really young when the set came out, and I remember the first ever booster box that I ever got the chance to rip wasn't a booster box of that set, but it was a half a booster box of that set. And my cousin and I got it on the Christmas it released in our stockings. We got 18 booster packs, and each stocking is like the main part of our gift. And my cousin, she was like a year younger than me. She was really into Pokemon. Like we had the best time ripping those first edition like Neo Genesis packs and then building decks and playing with them. I ripped the Lugia, the Typhlosion, like the Feraligatr. So like even though I don't like first edition cards, I don't actually collect any first edition sets. That's the only set that I give a damn about for first edition, just because it's literal nostalgia. I personally think this is an overpriced set, and I don't think it's worth the price that people want to pay for it. But there's probably other people like me who have an irrational sense of nostalgia towards this set, because there's great arts. Like the commons and the uncommons and the young, like those are really good arts in this set. Let's not be, I can't mince words about Neo Genesis. But it's not like a Neo Destiny set, but I have zero attachment to that set because I was out of the hobby by that point. So like it's a weird thing that like even though I'm sitting here, I'm like, yeah, modern's like the best. I still have a portion of me that's like willing to overpay for like really, really old nostalgia, even though there's clearly better artwork that I would rather have, rarer, cooler, minter. I don't know, whatever it is. It's just something about nostalgia that does drag us in. And that's one thing that Pokemon is always good with, is that nostalgia factor. It gets you good. Like, so I will say, we're going to open one of these. And if I can't, we might open both of them. So we'll see. We're going to sell one of them probably before Orlando, but we're going to have a YouTube video about it. So if you made it this far and you want to know what's inside of it, don't worry, you'll find out. Which one should we keep? I think I'm leaning towards the Feraligatr. If you had to decide to sell one and open the other, what would you do? They both weigh about the same. They're both on the heavy side.
Oh man, I like Typhlosion more than Feraligatr. I would probably just go with whatever pack's heavier, just to be like the safest, you know. But
the Feraligatr, just because you think the Typhlosion might sell for a little premium, probably.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
So that was my scalper mind, my immediately flipper scalper mind, since they weigh about the same and there's an equal chance for a hollow because they're both kind of heavy. I could probably sell the Typhlosion for a couple more dollars just because it's Typhlosion than the Gator. And I actually like the Gator a little bit more. If I pulled the open mouth Feraligatr, I'd be super happy. Like the T17, that'd be all right too, but I love that Feraligatr. Honestly, most of the cards that come out of this too, just to DNA's point, I will say I haven't completed. I have my original binder from when I was a kid from that exact Christmas from that opening, what didn't get destroyed in like the 20 or so years that it's been, these will most likely not get graded. These are most likely going to get slipped right into the binder if I open them personally, unless it's a shoe-in for a 10, in which case I can't leave money on the table. I literally can't leave money on the table, even if it's like nostalgia. If it's my base set first edition Charizard and I pulled it as a kid, if it's me leaving money on the table and I could optimize and buy another one for cheaper, I'm just not that. I'm a dirty, evil, whatnot scalper. You call me any buzzword you want. I just can't do it. I can't do it. So yeah, so I will sell it and rebuy another one if need be. But the Gator is kind of what I'm leaning towards, opening and then selling the Typhlosion probably.
I want it. Like, I probably shouldn't. And if I sat and really thought about it, I probably could convince myself out of it. But I've been wanting to like open a nice box for my birthday. And like, I know I'm probably going to brick, but I'm just like, what? Probably not Pokemon, because I'm not trying to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to brick or whatever, but probably like some DED TCG, or I don't know, maybe like Final Fantasy, or like a nice Final Fantasy. I don't know, but it just like, it would be nice to open, because I don't really rip anything ever. Like, I ripped the UPC packs because like I was already in the profit. I was like, I'm never gonna open modern. Like, I'll sit here, you know. But yeah, like I don't buy blister packs at Costco or booster boxes or anything like that. It just, I don't.
I do. Like, I still, like, I just said that the other night, like, me, and after I learned that the packs could be weighed, I had a booster box left over from a stream on Whatnot that I was like, well, now I can't sell this anymore. Me and my fiance ripped it just for like, we're like, all right, well, let's weigh these out and rip them and see if it actually is true. It was true, you know, spoiler alert, it was true, but we still have fun with it. I mean, what would you open? Like a Dragon Ball Z, or like something like, I know that you open a lot of those like card ass kind of bricks, but that's not the same as a randomized.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
these aren't randomized.
No.
So like, you know what you're gonna get. It's still fun opening them and seeing if they're like in good condition and gradable and stuff, but it's not the same as like opening packs. I'd probably like maybe Final Fantasy Opus 1. If I could find like a DBZ box for like 300 to 500, I might.
This is for Ancient Mew.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, maybe I've heard like first edition Yu-Gi-Oh is kind of cheap. Like, if I could find like one of the later.
Did you watch the Green Shiz's most recent video where he ripped the first edition Yu-Gi-Oh box he got on Heritage? He was super excited. I was excited for him, and I don't know what Yu-Gi-Oh is, but he seemed really excited about it, so I couldn't tell you what it was.
Ooh, or like a nice Marvel box, dude. Like, I wonder what they are. Like, one of the funnest opening experience I've ever had was Marvel Anime. But that box is, I don't even know, like, what.
Okay, so what's the best situation here, chat?
$400.
When you find something like Silver Tempest can be weighed, and you want to raise awareness for it, is it better that people don't know that, and people sort of, it goes under the radar and the normies aren't getting signal boosted by all the YouTubers? Or is it better when the big YouTubers start making videos saying, hey, warning, warning, this can be, and then it gets pushed out, then everyone knows about something they wouldn't formerly? Because I feel like we can talk about it now because we're like 3 hours in the podcast. There's like nobody listening who wouldn't be a real one, right? But the most people like don't know that Silver Tempest can be weighed. I didn't know until like a day ago, basically. So it's one of those things that I wonder the ethics or the morality of pushing that narrative out, because if it does more harm than good, it's probably better to hide that narrative. But if it's going to help, it's probably better to have it out there. Now that the cat's out of the bag, though, I feel like it's not one of those things that should be hidden or could be hidden, right?
I just think it's like how you go about it, right? Because you telling somebody, yeah, exactly. I believe that, like, you could potentially save somebody from getting taken advantage of. I think you saying like, oh, burn Pokemon to the ground, they made a set that has weighable, like, that's not the way to go about it. But to keep people from getting burned and let people know, hey, like, this can be weighed. Don't be buying loose packs off, whatnot, eBay, Facebook, whatever. Like that's good information to have. At least like if you're buying it like a blister product or a booster box, at least like it can't be tampered. Well, it can be tampered with, but it's probably, if it's coming from Target or an LG, like you're probably okay, or a good seller on eBay. But yeah, it's just better to have the information out there, because like what's everybody gonna do? Just like, oh, like I don't know, and like sweep it under the rug. It's like people need to know, man. Like if you're being it's
Yeah,
better
and
to
that's
be honest.
generally, I would generally agree with that take, and that's sort of why we said something right away when we kind of found out too. It's just like, and I guess, but to Thrifty's point, she said the last 3 sets can be waived. So I just now I'm hearing about this particular one, which makes sense that the other 3 can, though, because to me, it's when they started doing the trainer galleries, it probably threw off their weight, their ratios, so it made it probably a little harder for them to like. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking at Pokemon. They're cutting things with barbed wire over there. So I mean they're using those little like those jagged edge scissors to cut out the boards. So who knows what they're doing over there? There's all kinds of things they could do better. I could buy them a knife sharpener for Christmas, and I don't know if they'd take that the wrong way, but maybe it would go to the right person. But yeah, I think it's probably better to kind of just wrap up that particular conversation. Better that we put if it's out there, it's better to know. Like knowledge is power, right? And it's just a shame that with all of this extra effort that Pokemon's going out of to like take out the joy of like what's in the pack by showing us by the color of the code card, they couldn't at least like get the pack weighing thing right?
The thing too, like it's a thing in most, like I'm pretty sure, actually I know, like Yu-Gi-Oh in some senses is mappable. It's definitely weighable. Not being able to weigh packs is actually like a luxury, because sports packs don't even have to weigh sometimes, because insert cards are thick. So you can just thumb through the packs, look for a pack that looks like it's bulging a little more, or whatever, and that's the insert card because it's printed on a thicker card stock. So like, or like, well, I got really into like Yu Yu Hakusho TCG, which is made by Score, and like it's dead or whatever. But I bought like 250 packs loose booster packs from this guy, not in boxes, and I was worried. But the only reason that they didn't come weighed is because it's dead. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
who's gonna
same thing with the Harry Potter. I bought a bunch of loose Harry Potter backs, and I was worried about the same thing, but they weren't weighed because it's just a dead card game. So yeah,
but with Pokemon, where like everybody knows that there's value here, like there's just too many people that are like malicious and are gonna try to take advantage of people and sell them light pack. Dude, I remember during the hype, I remember Evolution, like that was one of the big things on eBay was Evolution's heavy pack. Like, I don't know if you remember seeing that, but it was tons of Evolution packs, and people would just auction Evolution, and it was an Evolutions pack like on the scale with the gram weight or whatever in the picture, and people are like, oh yeah, that's 21 grams, that's a heavy pack or whatever. And like, of course, you can't weigh Evolution, and so there's always people out there that are gonna do. So if you're, like you said, knowledge, like Dan said, knowledge is power. Be honest, keep it out there. It's the best way to keep people from getting wrecked, I feel like.
I've always been so on my channel, anyone who like watches my whatnot channels, purchase packs from me or whatever, I always weigh all my packs and sell them as either heavy or light, or I don't do unweighed packs as loose packs just because you can't get unweighed packs. Like if it came to my hands, it was weighed. I promise you. If it was someone before me, I could almost guarantee you it was most likely weighed too. And if it wasn't, then it should be. And so like I only sell weighed vintage packs and things like that because of that. Because like if it's a heavy pack, you're going to get more money for it. And if it's a light pack, you're not going to get as much, but then you don't have to actually open it and suffer through the disappointment, and it can go to a collector, someone who just wants it sealed. So like there's a time and a place for light packs too. Like let's not pretend like there are no people who want light packs. Like light packs are fine. Like I like light packs. They're great for collectors. People collect pack art sets. People like have vintage nostalgia, like these, they just want to have a fossil pack in their collection because they love Dragonite and they love that set or something, or Jungle or base set or whatever. It doesn't have to have a Charizard in it or even the possibility. Personally, I don't get that. If I was going to collect packs, like I do collect packs, I collect heavy packs. Like when I have a pack, if I'm holding it, it's because it's heavy and I intend on opening it. And it's because that's why I'm holding it, because it's like, yeah, I'm not going to open it yet, but I can in the future. I'm saving it for the right time. Whereas with the light pack, I don't see ever a right time. It's just like, I have it. But that's not me. I'm not that kind of collector. So yeah,
I think
it's definitely one of those things that selling heavy packs versus light packs, I think, is the ethical thing to do versus unweighed, especially if it's just a loose pack. Because like you'll get more for an unweighed light pack, but that's kind of scummy. So,
and I was just gonna say that too, is like, because you do what you do and are transparent, and like, you know, Dan, same thing, transparent, like you now have a trusted business reputation where people will feel comfortable spending hundreds of dollars on packs because they know that you're being honest, you're going to verify it, you're going to weigh it. Same thing with Dan. Like he can sit, buy a fossil box, break it down, weigh the heavies out. People know that they're going to get the money back guarantee, blah, blah, blah. And like ultimately, in the long run, that's better for building your business than trying to scam somebody and weigh and sell a light pack and try to push it off as heavy or unweighed or whatever. Like, you are going to get so much farther by being honest with people and letting them know and being transparent. And like you said, people, if they can trust you, they're going to pay more for the heavy. It is what it is. People love to gamble, but they have to know that they can trust you. And the only way that you can build that reputation is by being honorable and being trustworthy and being transparent. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because like it goes so far as to like now at one time I got a pack that ended up being a resealed pack and we opened it on the channel and I felt really bad about that. So it was a complete refund and all money back, all that good stuff. And I felt bad because it looked, in my opinion, bad on my side. So now I don't sell unopened packs on my channel unless it's a long sim pack that I'm 100% sure. Long sim packs are really hard, like when it comes to WotC stuff, to fake, like the actual foiling and the resealing on them. It's very difficult. Going from the bottom, I mean, I've never seen a long sim actually pass a reseal. Like you can tell someone used a clothes dryer and like ripped it and tried, if they're trying to reseal a long sim. But for the most part, I do not sell packs that you can have sealed from sources that I'm not sure of, because of one situation that happened with a resealed pack that I no longer feel comfortable. Because what happens if you buy from me and then you think I'm a trusted source and you want to keep it sealed, and then 2 years from now you decide, I don't want to keep it sealed anymore, I'm going to open it up, and you thought there's actually a chance at having some real cards in it because that's what it was sold to you as, and it ends up being resealed. So I can't live with that. So I now make people open the packs on the channel when they actually get it, so I can make sure it's real. I can at least money back guarantee it, and then I can live with myself a little bit there. But like that's just the thing that you can't expect from everyone, I guess, too. And so it's one of those things, being a live streamer, it's different than being someone who sells on eBay behind like one photo and you can swap out packs and stuff. Like with a live streaming platform, I'm very much so on air. Like I am on performing when I'm there. Like it is a lot of effort to live stream. Like I'm putting on a performance. Like I have to interact with the chat, which also means that if I sell you something and you get hosed, I have to deal with your reaction right there. And I'll be honest with you, I like people to be happy when they leave my channel. I don't like people to be like, really feeling like they got hosed. I prefer it when you come to my channel to feel like you at least had a good chance, and that I gave you your best chance at potentially getting your money's worth or getting what you paid for or having a good time while you did it. And I don't like this whole like, well, it's a gamble, and once you gamble, it's over, and I got your money on take it and run. I don't like that. I do not like that. But there are people who probably prefer that level of like just wiping their hands clean. They don't want that transparency. They're selling everything as unweighed. They're like, I don't know. If I haven't weighed it, I don't know how these scale things. Don't you love it when you ask people online, like, hey, you know, this pack, do you mind telling me the weight of this pack? And they get indignant when they're like, I would never weigh a pack. Like, I would never in 1,000 years, because I don't know how they work. I don't have a scale. I don't have the 5 minutes it takes and the $10 to go weigh that out. Even I've said to people, hey, if you go to spend the $10 to weigh this pack, I'll pay you an extra $50 if it's heavy. And you don't even have to put it on the picture or whatever. I just want to know. People get really indignant. So like people will not, they will literally, I'm just like, why, if you're going to sell it, tell me the weight. These things are all weighed. If you're not selling it with the weight, I can't really, you know, but it's just funny the reaction sometimes you get when you do ask people that. Looks like we're getting more of the bots coming in here. I guess I've really made it, huh?
Yeah, 69.bit.
Yeah, that's my thought probably too. Is if people are getting defensive over pack weights, they probably weight them and they're all like light, and there's like, what? I would never. I would. What do you mean? You can weigh these things? What are you talking about? Yeah, so Marty, we actually, I think I mentioned a little bit of this. I don't think it's Crown Zenith that they're going to change it for, but I think in Scarlet and Violet, they are for sure going to change the holo pattern. And I'm predicting, I don't have any inside information, but I'm predicting it's going to be like a broken shattered ice. Kind of like the shatter foil that they put on some of the old like theme deck foils. I refuse to learn how a scale works. Yeah,
And that's
you're
why
one of those sellers.
Forever
then, right?
be a customer. You'll forever be a customer.
Yes, exactly. Drop the bots link. Everyone wants the bots link. Get the Lonely Boys Club up here.
I'm looking at the set list for Crown Zenith. They don't have everything out right now.
No, we're not going to get all of it like we didn't for
right.
VMAX Climax. And it would shock me if a lot of it got ported over into like a trainer gallery or a character rare subset, like in the Scarlet and Violet, just because I think that they're going to try to drop it all and then start anew at Scarlet and Violet, like we were talking about earlier in the stream. I really think that's going to happen. Like, even though I don't want that to happen, I think we're going to see at least not a disappearance, but maybe like a little bit of a sort of a step away from like the alternate art, trainer galleries, all the flashy craziness. And they're going to give us flashy stuff, but it's going to be in the form of these new legendaries, new gold cards, maybe a new rarity type. They might give us like a different type of pattern on the cards that we're really excited about. Like, people looking back on it, I was well into the hobby when Sword and Shield released. And so I was excited about the new release of Sword and Shield for the Gold Zacian and Gold Zamazenta. Zacian V was a really playable card at the time, and it was actually a pretty decently valuable card. And then the Boss's Orders that was released after that in Rebel Clash was the only card that was worth pulling in Rebel Clash, basically, but it was selling booster boxes. Like, I remember Leonhardt, I remember all these people chasing that full art Boss's Orders, and it was because it was like a playable card, but also because it had Giovanni on it, and people like Giovanni, and so like, you know, it's cool. It's a cool set, you know, people like Giovanni, but it is, it wasn't a strong set. No one's going to look back and call it a strong set, but people are still excited. So I wonder if the same level of excitement will still be there for like the EX, the new EX types, which I would gather there are. The Pokemon comes out, it came out just now, like a few minutes ago, the new game came out. So like after this stream, I'm probably going to go buy it online if my fiance hasn't already bought it and check out, you know, what that's like. But I think that even without these crazy new rarities and alternate arts that we're used to seeing, they've been scaling them back too. They've given us like 4 alternate arts in every set since Brilliant Stars. So they really haven't given us a ton. And then they're going to give us all of it in Crown Zenith. Like, that's like, they're not giving us less alternate arts. They're giving us all the alternate arts. Like, oh, you like alt arts? We got an alt art set for you.
I think too, like, they're just going to keep on putting cool, like, I think they're just going to put like a different letter, EX, GX, V, V Star, V Max, Max, Gigantamax, Giganta V,
VX,
G,
yeah.
C, Y, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like, they're just going to keep on doing that. But bottom line, like, if the card's cool, if it has cool art, people are going to like it regardless, I think, of what they call it. At first, they might be like, oh, I don't like that it's an EX because they already did EX. But if they put if they put Mew or Charizard or Pikachu or if they anything like if they make anything cool, no one's gonna be like, oh, I don't like the EX. Like, you know what I mean? No one was so like, oh, I'm so excited they make GX and VMAX. Like, what does VMAX even mean? Like, what does GX mean? Every card game has, like, we don't have to go off on a rant. Like, we've been going for 3 hours, but like every card game has like a GX or an E. Like, what the fuck does that even mean? Like, what is that? It's just random letters.
Nobody knows, Basil. Nobody knows.
Exactly. It's like when you play like a fighting game or like even in League or whatever, and then like you get a ranking for how you did, and then the best one is like S+. It's like, what is S is nowhere. Like when you get a letter grade, S is never there, but for some reason in video games, S is like the number. You know what I mean?
It
like,
was in preschool. They gave you the S grade in preschool when you were like top of your class. Those are the S. You might not have gotten the S, but I certainly got the S. So I'm just saying.
Probably was not getting the S.
S's,
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think that they're gonna people are gonna like it regardless. Was that Harry
Ghost
Potter?
rares. Is Yu-Gi-Oh the only people who still do ghost rares? Because ghost rares are actually a cool thing. I agree with Marty on that. I like ghost rares. I
pulled a McGonagall on Rock Pokemon stream. I pulled the McGonagall Ghost Rare. It looks clean. I think it'll 9. If you read this, Buns may find you. I gotta go, or may Buns find you. I gotta go find some buns. But anything else you want at Satisfactory? Anything else you want to?
That must have been why I was getting the S. S isn't like S tier. It's Satisfactory. It's not, they're good. That's why I was getting. Maybe I need to reevaluate my life. That's why I'm selling Pokemon cards. Yeah, it's dinner time, and Pokemon just came out with a new game, so it's time for me to go get Fuecoco and see what's going on with that new multiplayer status thing. So yeah, maybe if you guys see me in the Pokemon world, try not to destroy me too bad when we duel.
I might get peer pressured into buying it. I need to go do some macro econ homework, but after that I might download it. It's gonna take me like overnight, like with my internet. There's no way I'm gonna be able to play it tonight, but I could probably download it to play tomorrow. So
Elgato? Really? There's actually people out here who are going to be choosing the grass cat? Interesting. I thought that was just a joke. I thought you were memeing that, Basic Trainer. All right, fair enough. All right, folks, well, it's been grand. We appreciate you coming in here for our first ever live podcast. I don't know. I like the live format. We'll probably have to toy around with doing this in the future, but if you guys like it, leave a comment down below. We appreciate you. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. We just hit 2,000. You're not going to want to miss the 2,000 subscriber giveaway video we're putting out. It is literally going to be, in my opinion, the best video I'll probably ever make in a while, at least, until the 3,000 subscriber giveaway. But thanks, guys. We'll see you guys on the next one.